By midnight, the world experiences a full shutdown of the access of all water and electricity. The temperature has plummeted by 100 degrees. I am the only one able to sit at home, playing games by the fireplace. Neighbors all step out of their houses to complain. In this extreme cold, people are sure to freeze to death. Furthermore, no one had the foresight to prepare instant noodles. So, even if they don't freeze, they'll starve. But I've hoarded an entire Walmart's worth of supplies in my house. The girl I've had a crush on for 18 years brazenly asks me for food. I unashamedly send her a picture of steak and wine. She instantly recognizes it as top-grade Wagyu and a $100,000 bottle of wine. Immediately, she says she also wants steak and wine. Upon hearing this, I laugh. If she wants to eat, she can go to the supermarket herself. Turns out, a supernova explosion affected the planet, causing a global ice age. And using my position as the warehouse manager of a supermarket, I have hoarded enough supplies to last 2 years. Who knew the girl would break into my house with a group of neighbors and steal all my food? In order to ration the food, they decide to start eating me. The girl even gleefully admits that she tricked me into opening the door. She wants to take one of my thighs. In extreme despair, I would rather die, but when I open my eyes again, I've been reborn 3 months before the global freeze. In my new life, I swear never to be a bootlicker again, and I want to repay the pain of my previous life 1,000-fold. But the immediate priority is to hoard enough supplies before the end of the world and build a sturdy, safe house. Just as I'm considering where to start, a bright light flashes before my eyes. In the next second, I'm in a strange space. Looking at this otherworldly place, a bold idea pops into my head. If I could move an entire Walmart here, I would never have to worry about food and drink for 10 lifetimes. Just then, my stomach rumbles. Thinking about all the good things I won't be able to eat after the apocalypse, I head to the best restaurant in the city. A meal costs me $50,000. In the apocalypse, even a bowl of instant noodles can cost a life. It won't be easy to eat your fill then. This scene is witnessed by the girl I've been infatuated with for 18 years. A girlfriend standing beside her looks surprised. Fang Yuqing, you're so lucky. The bootlicker chasing you turns out to be a rich second generation in disguise. Fang Yuqing naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity and comes up to chat. Zhang Yi, what a coincidence. Hearing this, I laugh coldly inside. In my last life, I was tricked by her pretending to be pure and innocent. In the end, I became soup in her bowl. Although at this moment, I really want to kill this bitch. It would also land me in jail. I have to wait until the end of the world. Immediately, I pull out my bank card and ask them if they want to go shopping at the supermarket, thinking to use these two as my free labor. As expected, they happily agree. Sure, we're neighbors. We can help you carry a bit. Who knew I would buy 2 full shopping carts and throw them to the two? Free labor shouldn't go to waste. This leaves the girlfriend looking displeased. You're a big man. Aren't you going to do any of the work? Upon hearing this, Fang Yuqing hastily chuckles. I've done you a big favor today. You owe us a big meal. Hearing this, I laugh coldly inside. Of course, I'll have to treat you two well. When the extreme cold comes, not one of you will be able to run away. Just then, Auntie Lin from the neighborhood committee walks up with her grandson. Little Zhang, you can't eat all this by yourself. How about sharing some with Auntie Lin? After she says this, her 2-year-old grandson starts taking things from my shopping cart. I grab it back right away. Sorry, I don't even have enough for myself. Upon seeing this, the child immediately started making a fuss. Big villain, give it back to me, or I will kill you, he shouted. In response, I coldly said, dare to say that again, believe it or not, I'll slap you to death. This yell made the child cry immediately. However, Auntie Lin wouldn't back down. What are you doing, a grown man haggling with a kid? I'll buy this box. I'll transfer you the money later. Stop acting like we're trying to take advantage of you. I immediately displayed my payment QR code, always saying later, either pay me now or go to the supermarket yourself. This move made Auntie Lin very angry. Once I got back home, Fang Yuqing winked at me. Don't forget to treat us, okay? After I sent the two of them away, I stored all the purchased food in the alternate space. Next, I had to build an impenetrable steel fortress with heating devices and medical supplies. It would be great if I could get some firearms, but I'm not in a hurry. There are still 90 days until the Ice Age. During this time, I have to sell off my property as quickly as possible. With money, I can always get what I need. The next morning, I came to the alternate space to check the freshness of the food. Although I can't store live creatures, the food remains as fresh as when I bought it. I took out my phone and contacted the best local restaurant and booked 500 tables of meals. I said I wanted to host a banquet for 3 days and 3 nights, but the hotel manager said, the cost for 500 tables of food and drink will not be less than $1 million, and a deposit of $200,000 is needed in advance. Without any hesitation, I transferred $200,000 over. Then I found my property certificate and went to the bank to mortgage it. After the apocalypse, money will become useless waste paper. But mortgaging the property and adding my own savings is only enough to build my safe house. I need more funds to purchase weapons and supplies. As I was thinking about how to get more money, a man in a suit walked up to me and said, "Bro, do you need money?" I was delighted. Money is coming when I need it. The man in the suit quickly brought me to another man. The man didn't beat around the bush and asked how much I wanted to borrow, but the interest rate would be a bit high. Upon hearing this, I rubbed my hands together. It doesn't matter if the interest is high. The main thing is to raise the money as soon as possible. So I mortgaged the house that I had just mortgaged and my Mercedes-Benz as well. After the transaction, both parties felt that they had made a good deal. I mortgaged a house worth $5 million and a car worth $300,000 for $4 million. In the end, I have to pay them $7 million back. But I also think they are really nice people, just giving away money for me to spend. Then I came to the most famous War Dragon security company. In my previous life, a second-generation rich guy spent $2 billion to build a top-level safe house. As a result, that rich guy directly became the emperor in the apocalypse. At this time, a business manager came over and asked if I needed any help. I quickly walked up and expressed my idea, indicating that I wanted to build a safe house for the apocalypse. Hearing this, the business manager didn't say much and directly presented me with several plans for me to choose from. However, I was not satisfied with the plans above. Then I stated that the house should be reinforced with aviation materials. The balcony glass should use the highest strength bulletproof glass and add an air filtration system and a 360-degree no blind spot monitoring system. The front door should be made of the same material as the bank's anti-theft door, and I asked the manager to find a way to get some guns. After seeing my requirements, the business manager was surprised. With these renovations and some weapons, this would be a fortress. The final plan required $8 million. After I paid the deposit, I asked them to start work immediately and said that the balance would be paid within 3 months. Next, I need to get some weapons for self-defense. I called the owner of a hunting club I know and got a few sets of crossbows as weapons from him. Just then, the 500 tables of banquet I ordered also arrived in batches by truck. This attracted quite a few people from the neighborhood. This is the delivery truck from a 5-star hotel. These several trucks of food would cost at least $1 million or so. After a while, the food for 500 tables filled my entire house. Without wasting any words, I put them all into the otherworldly space. With all these delicious foods, plus the ingredients I had ordered before, I basically don't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of my life. The next day, the security company's workers came to start building the safe house. This scene attracted quite a few neighbors' attention, who ridiculed me, asking if I had taken the wrong medication. But I didn't care. When the end comes, you'll know who the real joke is. Then I found Manager Joe from the company, and I bought a part of the warehouse's supplies at twice the market price. Next is to transport these things home little by little. My recent hoarding activities also attracted the attention of Fang Yuqing. She then asked if something was going to happen recently, even saying that she had been thinking about me lately. As for this bitch's fake concern, I didn't want to respond at all. This really pissed Fang Yuqing off. Zhang Yi, this bootlicker, actually dares to ignore me. But she was still curious about my sudden hoarding. However, her best friend just scoffed. If something big is happening, the country will definitely notify us. Just try your best to catch Zhang Yi, this bootlicker. Half a month later, my safe house was successfully built. In order to ensure the employer's safety, the manager also installed a surveillance system on each floor. I was very satisfied with this. Next is to wait for my last batch of supplies to arrive. Soon, several trucks of drinking water arrived in succession. In the following period, I tried my best to exchange all the money in my hands for various supplies. 3 days before the advent of the extreme cold end days, I specifically went back to the warehouse and invited all my colleagues for a cup of milk tea. After they drank it, everyone fainted. In order to move the entire Walmart warehouse with peace of mind, I had already put sleeping pills in the milk tea in advance. After shutting down the surveillance equipment, I went to the warehouse and immediately put all the rows of goods into the otherworldly space. With the help of the otherworldly space, I quickly emptied the entire warehouse. Just then, a box in the corner caught my attention. When I opened it, it was the cold-resistant tech product that was stocked a few days ago. It was said to be able to withstand temperatures of minus 100 degrees. With these supplies, even if facing the coldest ice age, I have nothing to fear. To prevent exposure, I also directly gave myself a dose of sleeping water, and then laid down on my colleague and fell asleep. 2.5 hours later, I was awakened by my colleague. "Boss, something crazy has happened. Our warehouse has been emptied." Hearing this, I pretended to be surprised and jumped up. "What the hell?" Then, looking at the empty warehouse, I pretended to be upset and said, "What happened? How are all the supplies in the warehouse gone?" At this time, the manager called, inquiring about the loss of the warehouse supplies. Knowing that the whole warehouse was emptied all at once, the manager immediately cursed. "How is this possible? Are you a mole and stealing for yourself?" I gave an awkward smile. "Manager, what do you take me for? Besides, I'm not that capable. I think we better report to the higher department as soon as possible, so as not to delay the investigation time." After hanging up the phone, I quickly comforted my colleagues. "Everyone, don't be afraid. We who are upright are not afraid of crooked shadows." Soon, all the colleagues on duty and I were called to the police station for questioning. But nothing could be found out after the questioning. Then the cop told us not to leave Tianhai City rashly, in order to cooperate with the follow-up investigation. Soon this incident made the news in Tianhai City. No one could believe that hundreds of square meters of supplies disappeared without a trace in less than 3 hours. Just then, it suddenly started snowing heavily in the sky. I knew this was a prelude to the extreme cold. So I hurried home. 3 days later, the shockwave from a supernova explosion swept across the globe. This brought about a devastating disaster to the entire planet. The temperature began to plummet overnight. Looking at the heavy snow outside the window, I remained calm. What was destined to come eventually came. But at this time, the homeowner group became lively. After all, it was the first time to see such heavy snow in the South. I looked at all this with a calm face. Perhaps for many people, this might be the first time they saw snow, and it could also be the last. In my past life, the heavy snow lasted a full 3 months, and the temperature would get lower and lower, causing many people who had not stocked up on food in advance to freeze to death in this winter. On the second day of the extreme cold weather, the heavy snow at the entrance of the residential area had piled up to half a person's height. Even if people indoors turned the air conditioning to the maximum, they still shivered from the cold. But I, who had prepared various heating equipment in advance, was sleeping soundly. But just then, I was suddenly awakened by a ring of the phone. It was a call from the Fang Yuqing. She asked cheerfully, "Zhang Yi, did you know about the temperature drop when you stocked up on supplies? You didn't even tell me, and now I'm freezing." Hearing this, I scoffed and directly hung up the phone. This pissed off Fang Yuqing on the other side. This bootlicker, he dares to hang up on me. Then she shamelessly texted me asking for food. After reading it, I laughed. She still wants to treat me like a bootlicker, huh? I directly sent her a picture of steak with wine. Fang Yuqing recognized at a glance that this was a top-tier Wagyu beef and a bottle of wine worth 100,000. She immediately said that she also wanted to eat steak and drink wine. After hearing this, I laughed. If you want to eat, go buy it yourself at the supermarket. After seeing my message, Fang Yuqing was furious. But after thinking about it, she calmed down. After all, she has to hook me, the fish. And I, full and bored, started watching TV. Just then, the tablet monitoring the building suddenly made a noise. I saw Auntie Lin on the screen solemnly saying, "Everyone, don't panic and scramble for supplies. This extreme weather will last at most 2 or 3 days. Our neighborhood committee will help everyone through this. Rushing for supplies will only lead to price increases. If anyone dares to hoard supplies, I will report to the authorities." But just then, a voice sounded behind them. "Auntie Lin, how can you determine that this heavy snow will not last long? You are blocking everyone from going out to buy things. Will you be responsible if something happens? Hearing this, the surrounding homeowners also echoed, if we don't hoard supplies now, will you be responsible if we run out of food later? Auntie Lin quickly stated that the neighborhood committee would take responsibility for this matter. Then she pointed at me and cursed, Zhang Yi, don't stir up trouble here. This is an illegal act. But I didn't bother to deal with her and turned around to go back to my super safe house. A week passed quickly, but the heavy snow outside showed no signs of stopping. I was having fun at home as usual. Suddenly, a message came in on my phone. I saw Auntie Lin in the group chat, calling me out by name to go shovel snow. I didn't even think about it and directly refused her. With such heavy snow falling, we'd be shoveling slower than it's falling. Clearly, Auntie Lin was just trying to pick a fight. This got her gnashing her teeth in anger. Then, Auntie Lin commanded in the name of the neighborhood committee, Zhang Yi, you must go out and shovel snow. Whoever dares to lead the opposition will certainly be dealt with by the organization after the snow disaster ends. Seeing this, I said coldly, such a show of authority. Then I quickly typed a bunch of text and sent it out. How come I don't see you calling out the rich kids in the neighborhood, just picking on us honest people? Auntie Lin, since you're so capable, why don't you go ask Xu Hao and Chen Zhenghao to shovel the snow? Chen Zhenghao is the boss of a construction project. He has hundreds of people under him. And Xu Hao is a well-connected rich kid. In my past life, these two guys broke into my house and took all my food. Hearing what I said, other people also started making a commotion in the homeowner group. Zhang Yi is right. If you dare, go ask them. Seeing the messages, Auntie Lin was immediately cursing. Clearly, my words made it hard for her to step down, so she could only grit her teeth and call out the two in the group to shovel snow together. Chen Zhenghao, seeing the message, immediately started cursing, Are you fucking crazy? I'll kill you if you bother me again. Xu Hao also echoed, What a big idiot. Taking the homeowner's money and acting high and mighty every day. Now you really think you're the boss. I don't even bother to deal with you poor ghosts. Seeing this message, Auntie Lin was so angry that she didn't dare to say a word, but directly pointed the finger at me. Zhang Yi, you're really trying to make trouble for me, aren't you? You'll be satisfied if no one goes out to shovel snow, won't you? I picked up my phone, turned on the voice message, and scoffed. Did you come to me to seek a sense of existence after being scolded by someone else? Believe it or not, if you talk any more nonsense, I'll kill you. Seeing my serious tone, Auntie Lin immediately backed down. Just then, a loud bang came from my front door. I heard Chen Zhenghao outside yelling, Zhang Yi, weren't you pretty cocky in the group chat just now? Believe it or not, I'll kill you. At these words, I picked up my crossbow and went to the door. It's not certain yet who's going to kill whom. I shot him directly through the shin with an arrow. Injured, Chen Zhenghao fell to the ground, wailing incessantly. He never imagined that I, a seemingly honest person, would be so ruthless when I took action. Little did he know that this was only the first step of my revenge. With temperatures now at minus 100 degrees, Chen Zhenghao's leg, which had been shot through, was surely not going to be saved. If not treated in time, he could only die slowly in this freezing weather. Chen Zhenghao, bearing the severe pain, staggered into the elevator. He could never have imagined, having only met me a few times, that I wanted to kill him directly. This realization made Chen Zhenghao shudder with fear. So he immediately took out his phone and dialed the emergency number. However, the whole city was already covered in heavy snow, and the hospital's ambulance simply couldn't make it. Left with no choice, Chen Zhenghao could only go home and treat his wound himself. Fortunately, the weather was freezing cold, and his foot was almost numb from the cold. Then, with a grim determination, Chen Zhenghao pulled the arrow out. Then, he took out his phone again and made a threat in the homeowner group. Zhang Yi, wait for me. Watch me kill you. Facing his threat, I naturally wasn't afraid, and responded confidently, keep talking, and I'll disable your remaining 2 legs. This scene stunned the onlookers in the group chat. After all, as the area tyrant, Chen Zhenghao, this was the first time someone dared to confront him directly. Soon, he picked up the phone and summoned his hundreds of followers. In no time, a swarm of followers, each holding their own weapon, rushed over in grandeur. After learning about what had happened, the leading bald guy came to my door with his followers. You offended our bro Hao. Today will be your death anniversary. With that, he slashed directly at the door. But the next second, his machete was flung away. This scared the gangsters out of their wits. How many people had this kid offended? His home was fortified stronger than a turtle's shell. Watching the scene from my security camera, I laughed with disdain. "Are you guys hungry? Try harder." Seeing the bunch outside the house swearing and fuming, I suddenly had an idea. Immediately, I took a water hose and connected it to the kitchen faucet. "Why are you so angry? Let me cool you down." The gangsters outside saw the door lock suddenly open and were instantly alert. Upon realizing it wasn't an arrow, they had a good laugh. Who would have thought that the next second the hose would spurt out cold water? Soon, a bunch of them fell to the ground, frozen. Only 3 managed to escape. Seeing this scene, I was quite pleased. In this freezing weather, cold water is more lethal than any weapon. On the other side, the 3 little guys who escaped were huddled together, shivering. Chen Zhenghao looked at them and yelled, "What happened? How did you guys, a whole group, not manage to bring a small brat?" Hearing this, the 3 hastily explained, Zhang Yi was too cunning. He turned the front door into a burglar-proof steel door. We chopped for a long time and only scratched some paint off. The key was he sprayed us with cold water. Upon hearing this, Chen Zhenghao's face immediately darkened. No wonder the door felt a bit hard just now. But don't worry, I don't believe this kid can hide in there forever. Send a few men to keep watch at his door day and night. When he dares to show his face, tear him to pieces. Little did he know, the food stored in my house, not to mention for a lifetime. Even if it were for 10 lifetimes, it wouldn't run out. On the other side, Uncle Yu was leading a few people to clear the snow from the entrance of the residential area, planning to dig a path to the supermarket to replenish food. However, they couldn't shovel as fast as the snow fell. After a while, they gave up and prepared to go back. Watching this scene, I sighed. Human power is simply no match for a disaster of this scale. Although the TV is actively reporting to reassure all citizens that the country is launching a final offensive against the snow disaster, only I know that 90% of all organisms globally will freeze to death in this snow disaster. My crush of 18 years was the first to send me a greeting. "Zhang Yi, are you okay?" Seeing the message, I couldn't help but laugh. If it wasn't for her eating my most important part in my previous life, I would have still seen her as a pure lotus. So I replied indifferently, "I'm fine." Then Fang Yuqing shamelessly asked me for something to eat, saying she would return the favor later. Faced with my crush's request, I agreed without hesitation, then sent her a picture of a lobster to whet her appetite, adding with a mocking tone, "I'm already full." Seeing this, Fang Yuqing got angry and decided to kick me out of her pond. At this time, her bitchy best friend sent me a message. "Why are you so dumb?" Fang Yuqing is really angry right now. Seeing the message, I laughed again. They're really good at acting. One playing good cop, the other bad cop, huh? The bitchy best friend didn't give up and continued, "The snow can't last that long. Starve for a few meals and seduce Fang Yuqing first? Wouldn't that be a big win?" Regarding this, I ignored her disdainfully and simply responded with a "oh." This response infuriated her. How did this bootlicker suddenly become enlightened? Fang Yuqing could only sigh. Why did my attitude towards her undergo such a drastic 180-degree change? At this point, her bitchy best friend suggested, "If we lose one bootlicker, so be it. Don't we still have others?" Hearing this, Fang Yuqing's eyes lit up and she immediately called other bootlickers. Soon, Zhou Peng hurried over with large and small bags of supplies, claiming that this was all the food he had left. Hearing this, Fang Yuqing was touched and immediately sent him a good person card. "Zhou Peng, you're a really good person." Before Zhou Peng could express his loyalty, her bitchy best friend promptly closed the door. In no time, 3 days had passed, but the heavy snow was still falling non-stop. Munching on a chicken leg and looking at the time on my phone, I thought, the real drama is about to begin. The next moment, the entire neighborhood plunged into darkness. Soon, neighbors began stepping out of their homes, asking each other whether they had electricity. Now, with water and electricity cut off and air conditioning no longer functioning, it was genuinely getting cold enough to kill. After finishing my chicken, I picked my teeth and then turned on a generator I had prepared in advance. I was fortunate to have died early in my past life. Otherwise, I too would be freezing like the rest of them. At this moment, Auntie Lin from the neighborhood committee was shivering while holding her grandson. She never expected the snow to last so long. A message came into the neighborhood group chat. They say this is a once-in-100,000 years global blizzard. We might be on the brink of a mass extinction event. Several major cities in the country have already been overrun. Everyone must stockpile more supplies. After reading the message, Auntie Lin was shocked. She never imagined the snow disaster would be this serious. At that moment, she hatched a plan. She must trick everyone into giving her their food before they receive the news. So, Auntie Lin promptly posted a message in the owners group. Everyone, don't worry. This disaster is temporary. Workers are currently repairing the water and power outage. The officials have issued an order. Due to these extraordinary circumstances, the neighborhood committee will conduct unified management of all property owners. Anyone who does not cooperate will be arrested and interrogated by the police. Upon seeing the message, Chen Zhenghao began to curse in dissatisfaction. Although he had a lot of underlings, he dared not confront the police. Meanwhile, Auntie Lin continued in the group chat. Due to the severe impact of the blizzard on everyone's lives, the neighborhood committee has decided to collect supplies from each owner and distribute them uniformly to help us all get through this crisis. On seeing the message, I couldn't help but laugh. It was the same old trick as in my previous life. Then Auntie Lin sent me a private message. Little Jiang, you usually work in a warehouse and must have hoarded a lot of food, right? Besides, you bought 3 truckloads of stuff last time. Everyone is in trouble now, and it's your turn to do your part. After the crisis, we will certainly repay you. On hearing this, I chuckled coldly. You old hag. Your hands were also dirty in my death in the previous life. Just you wait. I immediately replied with a voice message. That's great. I just ran out of supplies at home. Auntie Lin, when you collect the supplies, make sure you share some with me. Seeing my message almost made her explode. This kid had hoarded several truckloads of supplies. How could he possibly run out so soon? Realizing that she and her grandson were depending on my supplies, Auntie Lin swallowed her anger and kindly replied, Little Jiang, this is an order from the organization. You must comply. Once the snow disaster is over, I will definitely report your good deeds to the organization. On seeing her message, I laughed again. If I hadn't died early in my previous life, I might have believed her lies. So I picked my teeth and replied, Auntie, I'm not lying to you. I really don't have anything to eat at home. Why don't you take the lead and send me a few packets of instant noodles first? Upon hearing this, Auntie Lin could no longer restrain herself and furiously retorted, Zhang Yi, refusing to hand over your supplies is the same as opposing the organization. I will definitely report you to the organization for disciplinary action. I mocked her. You represent the organization? You're not even a civil servant, not to mention a public institution staff. Why don't you ascend to heaven? It's okay for you to show off normally. But now that things are like this, you still think you're so important. As soon as I said this, it made Auntie Lin so angry that she smashed her old-fashioned phone. This little brat dares to talk to me like that. After all, I'm a leader in the community. After failing to get any advantage from me, Auntie Lin turned her attention to other homeowners, thinking, it doesn't matter who I can deceive, as long as I can deceive some. 2 days quickly passed. Under Auntie Lin's coaxing, quite a few homeowners had actually sent their supplies to her home. Looking at this scene, I sneered in my heart. What a bunch of fools, believing in some great Samaritan in this post-apocalyptic world. Now the whole world has plunged into chaos. Without enough supplies, they could only wait to die. Soon, many homeowners began to tag Auntie Lin in the group chat. Wasn't it said that the supplies would be distributed evenly? We've run out of food at home. Start distributing some to us. But Auntie Lin merely scoffed at the messages. What a bunch of idiots. These supplies were obtained through my hard work. How could I possibly give them away so easily? Just then, her phone rang. Seeing that it was Chen Zhenghao, she broke out in a cold sweat. What does he want with me? On the other end of the line, Chen Zhenghao said coldly, Auntie Lin, you have quite a method. You've actually deceived everyone's supplies into your home. Hearing this, Auntie Lin feigned innocence, saying it was the arrangement of the community committee, and she was just doing her duty. Chen Zhenghao laughed. That's perfect. Over 10 of us here are waiting for you to distribute the supplies. Hearing this, Auntie Lin coughed lightly. These supplies haven't been sorted out yet. Some homeowners haven't handed in their supplies. We can't start distributing them yet. The next second, the area tyrant Chen Zhenghao, along with his underlings, burst into her house. Seeing this, Auntie Lin's face turned pale. How dare you break into a civilian house? Is there no law anymore? To which Chen Zhenghao responded with a slap. And you think you've been lawful, deceiving everyone's supplies? Today, I'll act in the name of justice. Meanwhile, I watched the scene on the surveillance, cheerfully eating a sausage. The dogfight was finally about to begin. At that moment, I had a brilliant idea. If watching alone is fun, sharing it with others would be even better. With a love for drama, I immediately posted the surveillance video in the homeowners group chat. Surely, everyone's reaction to this would be quite amusing. On the other side, Chen Zhenghao and his gang had already broken into Auntie Lin's house, instructing his subordinates to take away all the food, not leaving a single thing behind. Hearing this, Auntie Lin hurriedly clung to Chen Zhenghao's leg. You can't take everything. Some of the supplies here are what I hoarded myself. Without these supplies, how would my grandson and I survive? Chen Zhenghao let out a cold laugh. That's none of my business. Get out of here. With that, he directly kicked Auntie Lin away. Her grandson was stunned by this scene and then picked up a small knife to avenge his grandmother. He managed to accurately stab one of the punks, a yellow hair, in the butt. The severe pain made him forget about moving things and he kicked the boy away in response. Witnessing this, the other thugs burst out laughing. Since when did Yellow Hair learn to kick? He actually managed to kick this little brat away. Despite the intense pain in his butt, Yellow Hair played along. How cool, am I right? Someone should have recorded that moment. Auntie Lin fell in front of her grandson, Little Hu, my dear grandson. But Chen Zhenghao, watching this scene, showed no sympathy. Instead, he sneered, "This is what you get for deceiving us, your neighbors. We're just dispensing justice." On the other side, many homeowners watching this scene also clapped and cheered. "Ha ha ha! Serves the big liar right!" Such thunderous methods are necessary to deal with swindlers like her. Without Bro Hao, we'd be helpless against this kind of rogue. Seeing these messages, I laughed. You people really don't understand the crux of the problem. Today, Chen Zhenghao can break into Auntie Lin's house. Tomorrow he could break into yours. But all this has nothing to do with me. My 2-meter thick steel door wouldn't yield even if he came with a tank. Soon, Auntie Lin was pleading for help in the homeowner group. Does anyone have hemostatic drugs, anti-shock medications, and antibiotics? My grandson was injured by Chen Zhenghao. Dr. Zhou needs these medications urgently for surgery. Upon hearing this, my eyes lit up. Dr. Zhou Kier was a savior-like figure in the previous world. Fortunately, we have neighborhood Dr. Zhou Kier here to save her grandson's life for now. At this point, Auntie Lin was pleading continuously in the homeowner group for medicine, promising to kowtow in gratitude to anyone willing to provide it. However, this only resulted in mockery from many homeowners. So you plan to kowtow in a chat group? Dr. Zhou, a kind-hearted beauty, saved your grandson. Why should we help you? After deceiving us of our supplies, you still have the audacity to ask for our help. Seeing this, I sighed. This was karma for Auntie Lin. Furthermore, the snowstorm had been going on for over a week, and the outside was practically paralyzed. Even if the boy was saved, how long could everyone last without food? At this point, the snow outside the community had almost buried up to the first floor. Many people had already heard from the news that this was a global snowstorm that occurs once every 100,000 years. No one knew what this snow disaster would turn into. Soon, a week passed in a flash, and the whole world was almost buried in the snowstorm. In some cities in the north, the temperature had even dropped to -100 degrees Celsius. Many residents who tried to evacuate southwards ended up freezing to death on the road. In the homeowner group, Auntie Lin began to play the morality card again. My dear grandson has been hungry for 2 days. He's just a child. Are you really going to stand by and watch him die? She stated that she was willing to pay a high price for supplies. Seeing this, the homeowners started to inflate the prices, and the last pack of instant noodles was even sold for $2,000. Seeing this, I laughed. These people are not taking the apocalypse seriously. In a little while, you'll think paper money is too hard even to use as toilet paper. As a second-generation rich kid with some business acumen, Shu Hao started to hoard supplies at a high price. He was very clear that money in this apocalyptic world would become as useless as waste paper. He had to get rid of it while it was still useful. At this time, a single mother in the group sent out a plea for help, stating that she and her daughter were about to starve to death, hoping that everyone could help her. Seeing this, I laughed. In the past life, this woman and her daughter managed to survive for a long time. This Xi Li Mei is not as simple as she seems. 10 days passed quickly, and as usual, I was enjoying my time at home. At this moment, the phone on the table rang. Seeing the caller ID, I let out a cold laugh. This bitch finally couldn't stand it anymore? So I opened the video chat and sarcastically said, "You all look thinner after not seeing each other for a while." Behind me, the sight of food made the two people drool. "Why do you still have so much food in your house, Jiang Yi? Is it because you hoarded it last time? And with this weather of negative 100 degrees, why are you sweating?" Upon hearing this, I smiled. "Oh, this? I installed a fireplace at home. This thing is very warm. I feel like going for a run outside." Upon hearing this, Fang Yuqing immediately tried to butter up to me. "Brother Jiang Yi, you're so awesome. You're so well prepared. Could you let Fang Yuqing come over and take a shower?" Inside, I scoffed. Do they still take me for an old lecher? So, without a second thought, I rejected her invitation, even taunting her. With the temperature at negative 100 degrees, make sure to keep warm. Fang Yuqing was instantly infuriated at my words. "Jiang Yi, don't go too far. We are freezing and starving. It's fine if you don't help, but don't make sarcastic comments." Hearing this, I laughed. "You still think I'm an easy target? If you want food, go find your rich kid. Besides, we're not related. Why should I help you?" With that, I stylishly ended the video call. On the other side, Fang Yuqing was already furious. She never thought that I would be on the path of a bootlicker's counterattack. At this moment, her best friend chimed in with some fair words. "Jiang Yi is quite good. It's you who missed the opportunity. Otherwise, we could be enjoying the things at Jiang Yi's house right now. He is much stronger than that so-called rich second generation. If I had known you would fail, I would have gone for it myself. Now everything has been revealed, and we end up with nothing." At this, Fang Yuqing was already furious. "Lin Caning, you bitch, still speaking in favor of Jiang Yi. I'll kill you." Soon the two bitches were wrestling on the bed. Meanwhile, the government, seeing that they could no longer hide the news of the snow disaster, issued an announcement on television. In order to meet everyone's electricity needs, power supply would be provided from 1 to 2 o'clock every day, but the voltage would only be enough for low-power appliances. Currently, all major power plants are shut down, and power is scarce. Everyone is encouraged to use electricity sparingly to prevent large-scale power outages. Soon, the homeowner group was lively again. Did you see the news? Turns out the rumors online are true. Just as everyone was on edge, suddenly someone offered to sell instant noodles, $5,000 a pack. Any takers? Seeing this, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, knowing that we're in an apocalypse, yet still wanting to exchange life-saving supplies for this worthless paper. Under the current circumstances, filling one's stomach is above all else. When everyone is hungry, who would care about this useless paper? On the other side, after wrestling for 2 minutes, Fang Yuqing and her friend finally calmed down. Since the soft approach didn't work, we'll go hard. With that, Fang Yuqing picked up her phone and contacted her #1 bootlicker, telling a wild story about how Jiang Yi wanted to tarnish her purity just because he had food. Zhou Peng was instantly furious upon hearing this. This Jiang Yi is such a scumbag. If I don't take this guy down, I'll be letting down my bootlicker identity. Seeing Zhou Peng was hooked, Fang Yuqing immediately got close to him. "Little Zhou Peng, let's find a way to take his house, and then we can live together, okay?" Zhou Peng agreed without a second thought. But before that, they needed to prepare some weapons. In a short while, the three of them, each carrying a kitchen knife, arrived at my doorstep. Then Zhou Peng, hiding the knife behind his back, knocked on the door. "Brother Jiang Yi, are you in? It's old Zhou. As colleagues, could you lend me some food? I'll trade you with fever medication." Unbeknownst to them, I had already seen the whole scene clearly through the surveillance camera. Seeing the weapons in their hands, I was ready to explode with anger. "Do you guys really think you can kill me? If the tiger doesn't show its power, you'll mistake it for a sick cat." Then, I picked up the hose, attached it to the tap, and decided to give them a chilling shower at negative 100 degrees. At that moment, the piled-up waste caught my attention, and an idea sprang to mind. I picked up the hose and approached the door, shouting, "Don't worry, I'll make sure everyone gets enough to eat." The three of them, thinking that I was about to open the door, excitedly raised their weapons. But the next second, a pile of feces sprayed through the small window of the door onto them. Fang Yuqing immediately realized it was a pile of feces and started to vomit on the side, while Zhou Peng was furious. "Zhang Yi, if you have the guts, come out. I'll kill you." At this, I just laughed. "Don't say I didn't give you a chance. If you have the guts, come in." Hearing this, Zhou Peng, seething with rage, raised his kitchen knife and struck my front door, only to find that the door was unharmed. Instead, his hand was injured from the impact. Watching this scene, I couldn't help but laugh. My 2-meter-thick security door isn't something you can break just by saying so. I really don't know what you're thinking. And I've stockpiled as much as a Walmart warehouse in my house. I'm not worried at all about them keeping watch outside. Even if I never go out in my next life, what can they do to me? I was suddenly woken from my sleep by a gunshot. Even though I knew the maliciousness of human nature would be exposed in the post-apocalyptic world, the sudden gunshot still gave me a big fright. There was actually someone with a gun in this community. So I quickly picked up my tablet and started checking the surveillance footage. It turned out that Chen Zhenghao and his men were going around robbing houses. After the water supply was cut off, most of the residents would go out to dig snow for water during this time period, and Chen Zhenghao was taking advantage of this time to loot supplies. Once the supplies were gone, even if they used the accumulated snow as food, they wouldn't last long. After robbing supplies, Chen Zhenghao didn't forget to assert his authority in the homeowners group chat. "We've been snowed in for so long. From now on, I, Chen Zhenghao, am in charge of this building. Anyone who tries to undermine me, this will be your fate." He then posted several intimidating photos. Seeing this, I couldn't help but sigh. Chen Zhenghao's ruthless tactics were no doubt why he had been so successful in society before the apocalypse. However, his ammunition and followers were ultimately limited. They couldn't possibly face off against all the residents of the building. Just then, I was added to a new group chat. Several homeowners were vehemently denouncing Chen Zhenghao's actions in the chat, saying that we all had to unite to resist such a tyrant. Even if he has a gun, he can't stop all of us. But when asked when to take action, a few clever ones suggested that we needed to plan this carefully. After reading these messages, I couldn't help but laugh. The loudest critics were also the most hesitant to take action. They were all just talk. At this point, Uncle Yu, a retired veteran, chimed in the chat. "We can't let Chen Zhenghao continue like this. Otherwise, we're all doomed. If you all are scared, I can lead the charge. Let's all rise up together." Uncle Yu's words garnered a lot of support from the homeowners. Some offered to provide weapons, others suggested tactics, saying Chen Zhenghao was only one man and we could ambush him. Seeing all this support, Uncle Yu continued. "Besides the gun, Chen Zhenghao has about 5 or 6 people with him. I alone won't be enough. We need a dozen or so young guys to ensure our safety." Just as everyone was eagerly preparing to volunteer, a woman suddenly spoke up in the chat. "Auntie Lin just tricked us out of our supplies. Who knows if Uncle Yu, you won't do the same? If you lead everyone to surrender, what about the rest of us who are old, weak women and children?" I absolutely disagree. Hearing this, I really wanted to smack her. This woman was the one who stirred up gender conflicts in the past life. In this post-apocalyptic world, if you can't even trust a retired veteran, who can you trust? Soon, the homeowners were divided into 2 factions. The radical faction thought we should unite against Chen Zhenghao now. The conservative faction suspected Uncle Yu was a spy, saying whoever wants to be the scapegoat can be one. Watching the 2 sides bicker for 2 hours, I couldn't help but sigh. This scene was exactly the same as in my past life. Back then, it was these conservatives who kept passing the buck, resulting in the majority of homeowners being brutally killed by Chen Zhenghao. But what does this have to do with me eating my curry rice with corn, green peppers, tomatoes, and chicken? On the other side, Chen Zhenghao, backed by his gun, was still robbing houses everywhere, not even sparing his own followers. Anyone who dared to resist would be taken away with a single shot from Chen Zhenghao, but he knew it well in his heart. Without this gun in his hand, these subordinates might not necessarily obey him. Then he ordered his men to collect all the bodies. Watching this scene from the surveillance, I immediately realized that this guy was planning to use these people as backup food. It seems it's time to find an opportunity to confront this guy. The next morning, the leader of the conservative faction, Lu Tiantian, sent out a cry for help in the WeChat group. "Everyone, come save me! Isn't Uncle Yu a veteran? You all should be able to fight them off." As the impact on the door behind her grew more intense, Liu Tiantian grew more anxious and said, "I'm in trouble. None of you will be able to escape." But as soon as her words fell, the door behind her was broken open by someone, and then she was dragged out like a dead dog. Her ordeal didn't evoke sympathy. Instead, it drew mockery from the radical faction. "Serves you right for being a turtle. Your retribution has come, hasn't it?" On the other side, Fang Yuqing and her girlfriends were also very nervous when they saw this scene. If they didn't come up with a plan soon, their turn would come soon. At this moment, Fang Yuqing had a plan. She must spread the news that Zhang Yi, that guy, had hoarded a large amount of supplies, and then unite everyone to take over his house. So I was quickly added into a group chat of a mutual aid group. I saw Fang Yuqing at me in the group chat and said, "Zhang Yi, it's too dangerous for everyone to live separately now. Your door at home is particularly solid. We lack a secure base. I hope you can join our team. And now everyone must unite. If you are alone, you will be dealt with by Chen Zhenghao soon." Seeing the message, I couldn't help but laugh. They want to pull the same stunt as in the previous life. So I replied indifferently, "I'm fine. I'm used to living alone in this little broken house of 150 square meters with heating and electricity." Seeing this situation, the group chat immediately exploded. "Old Zheng, don't be so short-sighted. Everyone needs to unite now." Fang Yuqing also echoed on the side, "Saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. You can save 7 people now. That would be a 48-story pagoda." What responded to them, however, was the message of me leaving the group chat. This made Fang Yuqing and the others stunned on the spot. When did this bootlicker evolve into a cool guy? Soon they began to discuss how to capture my fortress. Glasses Man suggested that as long as everyone was well protected, then directly force the door, they will surely take down that guy in one fell swoop. Brown Hair on the side agreed. And I used to work in a lock company. I can open any lock on the market. So they all agreed and came to my door to start prying the lock. They even prepared a few umbrellas to prevent cold water. As a result, Brown Hair pried for half a day. Found that he couldn't even budge my lock. I, who was in front of the surveillance, was sneering in my heart. This 5-layer reinforced security door of mine is comparable to the anti-theft level of a bank vault. And you, an ordinary lockpicker, want to pry it open? Then I activated the high-voltage electric defense feature. Brown Hair was shocked to a grimace. "Help me, please." However, Brown Hair Man soon fell to the ground, his body emanating a puff of black smoke. This sight stunned Fang Yuqing, who was standing by. The high-voltage electricity had Brown Hair Man's hands still stuck to the door. Witnessing this, I didn't feel any guilt. At this moment, Glasses Man pointed at the door and swore loudly, "Zhang Yi, you damned beast, come out! We came to talk to you, and you just killed someone. Now Lu Tao is dead because of you. Don't you think you owe us an explanation?" Hearing this, I just laughed. "You guys came to pry my door. I don't think there's any need to explain your intentions," I said, shaking my head. I then loaded my crossbow. "Isn't it better to stay alive?" In the next second, an arrow flew out of the small window at the door, hitting Glasses Man's left arm squarely. Seeing this, Zhou Peng hurriedly helped Glasses Man up. They didn't expect me to be so ruthless and quiet, as I had intended to take their lives right off the bat. Just as they had barely moved a few steps away, 2 more arrows flew out of the small window, striking Zhou Peng and another neighbor accurately. Seeing this, Fang Yuqing and the other 2 women started to flee, afraid that they would be the next to get hit if they were a step slower. Once they returned to their lodgings, the 3 men who were hit by the arrows lay on the ground howling in pain. If not treated in time in such extreme cold weather, the wounds would necrotize. Moreover, the arrows were rusty. Without antibiotics or other medicines, they could only wait for death slowly. Thinking of this, Glasses Man regretted his actions terribly. At this moment, Zhou Peng's cousin, Wang Min, walked up to Fang Yuqing and slapped her in the face. "It's all your fault, you damn woman! Didn't you say that only Zhang Yi's door is strong? How come there are crossbows? No wonder you were standing so far away just now. Did you know it all along?" Covering her face, Fang Yuqing looked wronged. "I didn't know. When we went there last time, he didn't use them." At this moment, Zhou Peng quickly stepped forward and shielded Fang Yuqing behind him. "Cousin, stop! It's not Fang Yuqing's fault. I can vouch for her." Seeing her cousin evolving from a bootlicker to the bootlicker king, Wang Min felt disappointed. Little did she know that the one who ran the fastest just now was herself. Now, the only thing they could do was to contact Dr. Zhou in the community for help. After a while, Zhou Kier came to Wang Min's house to check the wounds of the injured people. However, after seeing the wounds, she looked surprised. This is the same as the wound I treated for Chen Zhenghao a while ago. It's also an arrow wound. Then Zhou Kier said that the wounds were too deep. Without professional equipment, the success rate of surgery was less than 20%. Furthermore, the iron arrow was rusty all over. Without antibiotics or similar drugs for treatment, they could only wait for death. Upon hearing this, Wang Min immediately shed 2 lines of clear tears. She and Zhou Peng had grown up together, and their relationship was very deep. She then fell to her knees, Dr. Zhou. You must find a way to save my cousin. Zhou Kier turned her head and said, if we rashly pull out the arrows without medication, the consequences will only be worse. I hope you understand. At this moment, Fang Yuqing stepped forward. I remember a month ago someone delivered a batch of drugs to Zhang Yi's house. There must be plenty of antibiotics and similar drugs. Why don't we ask him for some? Hearing this, Glasses Man looked excited. Really? Then you go find Zhang Yi. He caused my injury. He has to take responsibility. However, Wang Min on the side expressed, we were almost killed by him just now. How could he possibly give us medicine to save our lives? Hearing this, Fang Yuqing looked unconcerned. We just wanted to take over his house. We didn't harm him. Besides, we're the ones who got hurt. We're the righteous ones here. Hearing this, Zhou Kier was rendered speechless. You guys deserve to get shot. Suddenly, Wang Min pointed at Fang Yuqing and said loudly, then you'll be in charge of getting the medicine. Zhang Yi once pursued you. You're the most suitable person to handle this. Bootlicker King Zhou Peng also chimed in. Fang Yuqing, we'll have to trouble you this time. I can only protect you when my arrow wound is healed. Hearing this, Fang Yuqing had no choice but to agree. However, thinking of my attitude, she had no confidence. The only plan now was to try making a phone call. Soon, she dialed my number and said, Lu Tao and Zhou Peng are dying. Can you help them? Upon hearing this, I laughed. So what if they die? Everyone has to die sooner or later. Besides, you don't really think you can survive this snow disaster, do you? The city is blocked by heavy snow, and this building has become an isolated island. Once the existing supplies are used up, if you don't starve to death, you will be killed by Chen Zhenghao. Upon hearing this, Fang Yuqing sobbed tremulously. Zhang Yi, I know I was wrong. It's all my fault. I let down your true feelings, but I've come to my senses now. Can you forgive me? Zhou Peng and the others were shot by you. If they don't get medicine, they will die from infection. At this point, Wang Min snatched Fang Yuqing's phone. Zhang Yi, don't be so heartless. Keep some goodwill. You never know when you might need us in the future. Hearing this, I laughed. Guess why I shot them with rusty arrows? I never intended to meet you again. And how do I know you won't suddenly turn against me? Upon hearing this, Wang Min hurriedly argued, how could we? We are good citizens. I cut her off. Good citizens wouldn't try to take over someone else's house. But well, helping you isn't impossible. Given that I have been pining after Fang Yuqing for 18 years, I might consider letting her come over alone. Hearing this, Fang Yuqing excitedly grabbed the phone. Zhang Yi, brother, I'm willing. From now on, Fang Yuqing is yours. Do whatever you want. Her best friend, Lin Kaining, also excitedly moved closer. Take me with you. Take me with you. But Fang Yuqing slapped away Lin Kaining's hand. My brother Zhang Yi only wants me. You should just stay here and behave yourself. As soon as she finished speaking, Wang Min slapped her across the face. You shameless woman. You've caused everyone so much trouble and now you want to run off. No way. Bootlicker King Zhou Peng also looked shocked. Fang Yuqing, how could you do this to me? Didn't you say you hated Zhang Yi the most and wanted to be my woman? Upon hearing this, Fang Yuqing immediately started arguing. Is it wrong for me to pursue a better life? If I stay with you, when the supplies run out, we'll all just wait to die. Zhou Peng, isn't loving someone about wanting them to have a happy life? Although you gave me a few bags of supplies, Zhang Yi has a whole Walmart stashed in his house. Hearing this, Bootlicker fell to the ground, defeated in the battle of love before it even started. And Fang Yuqing just turned around and left without a second look. Lin Caning threw her to the ground. Why should you get all the benefits? Wang Min also pointed at Fang Yuqing and scolded, You only think about yourself and don't consider everyone else. If we're not doing well, you shouldn't either. Zhou Qier, who was watching their infighting, was speechless. But she still kindly reminded, The wounds have only been temporarily treated. Without medicine, you all need to be prepared. Upon hearing this, Glasses Man had a sudden idea. I have a way to deal with Zhang Yi. From the video he sent us, it's not hard to see that his house is fully stocked. Now we just need to tell everyone in the building about this. If we can't deal with him, someone else surely can. Then we can get a share of the benefits from the sidelines. Upon hearing this, Fang Yuqing panicked. Don't be so shameless. How can I live a sweet life with Brother Zhang Yi if you do this? As soon as she finished speaking, Wang Min raised her hand to slap her. You dare to be so brazen, you shameless woman! At the critical moment, Zhou Peng stepped in front of Fang Yuqing. Sister, hold on. My love for Fang Yuqing is genuine. I will win her over with time. Sooner or later, Fang Yuqing will fall in love with me. Then, he confidently looked at Fang Yuqing. Don't be afraid. I'm here. This angered Wang Min so much that she almost wanted to slap this bootlicker to death. However, she decided to focus on the pressing matter first. She quickly posted some photos of delicious food in the homeowners group. Everyone is almost reduced to eating tree bark, but Zhang Yi is having sumptuous meals every day. Do you think that's fair? Seeing the message, Chen Zhenghao drooled all over the floor. This kid is hiding so many good things in his house. That's perfect. I can get my revenge for old grudges. Upon hearing this, the homeowners group exploded. Some people were trying to morally bind me, asking me to distribute my supplies to everyone. Some people, just for a meal, asked me to become a father to their child. There were even those who were willing to hand over billions in assets just to live in my house. Seeing the message, I just laughed. Why? Am I close with you? Why should I share my supplies with you? Thinking of these people breaking into my house in the past, I felt a fire in my belly. Now the tables have turned, I thought. Let's see how I'll play with you this time. Seeing my reply, Bootlicker King and others looked dumbfounded. Is Zhang Yi not afraid that we will unite against him? Others, seeing my cold-heartedness, began to blame me in the group chat. If you hadn't secretly hoarded supplies, we wouldn't be living like this. You must atone for your sins and donate the supplies to everyone. Besides, what's the point of living alone? Young people should have the spirit of contribution. Watching them bicker back and forth, I couldn't be bothered to engage with them any longer. Then, looking at the falling snow outside the window, I mumbled, Staying at home every day is quite boring. It seems I should find some time to go out and stroll around. Luckily, I still have a few snowmobiles hidden in my pocket dimension. Once I deal with this group, it might be time to see what the outside world is like. Just then, my phone suddenly received a notification. It was a plea for help from Dr. Zhou Qier. Mr. Zhang, our home's medicine and supplies have been completely exhausted. Upon seeing the message, I instantly recalled what Zhou Qier looked like. In my previous life, her death was due to her giving her last food to Zi Limei and her daughter. However, I didn't immediately agree to her plea. Despite a good impression of her from the last life, the prettier the woman, the more dangerous. I don't want to die at the hands of a woman after barely getting another life. I wouldn't provide help without being completely sure of her trustworthiness. So, I responded, I can provide supplies, but you need to exchange something for them. Upon seeing the message, Zhou Qier immediately agreed to become my private medical assistant. If I still wouldn't agree, she could only sacrifice something else, but I did not agree to her terms, and instead I said, I can provide you with medicine and food, but you have to do me a favor. Those neighbors are about to collapse soon, and they will definitely take action. I need you to be my spy, to acquire their action plans. So, the choice is in your hands now. You can choose to follow the crowd and be a bystander, or you can choose to betray them and side with me. Upon seeing the message, Zhou Qier fell silent. If she chose me, she would have to face all the homeowners in the building with me. But what she didn't know was that my house had long been turned into an iron fortress by me. Even if they came with a tank, they couldn't break in. The reason I did this was just to find an excuse to test her. At this moment, Glasses Man sent me a final ultimatum. Zhang Yi, I'll ask you one more time, will you hand over the supplies in your hand or not? Seeing the message, a cold smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. This guy had overstepped his bounds. I responded cheerfully, Even if I were to feed my food to the pigs, I wouldn't share a bit with you. This angered Glasses Man, grinding his teeth. Very well, Zhang Yi. You still dare to talk tough even when death is imminent. You brought this upon yourself. Don't say we didn't give you a chance. Soon, a chat group was established to denounce me. Chen Zhenghao solemnly said inside, "Don't worry, everyone. For this operation to eliminate Zhang, I only need half of the supplies. After getting the supplies, I swear I won't harm anyone." Glasses Man also echoed, "Let's put our past grudges aside for now. Our primary goal is to take down Zhang Yi at once." On the other side, after some consideration, Zhou Qier finally agreed to my terms. She was very clear in her heart that she, a woman alone, couldn't hold out for long without clinging to a strong figure in this apocalyptic world. Soon, I received a warning from Zhou Qier and Uncle Yu. Glasses Man and his gang have decided to launch a full attack at 2:30 tonight. To this, I was not panicked at all, but just curious about what kind of mess this group would make. At this point, Zhou Qier sent another message. "Those people have gone crazy. Aren't you going to come up with a plan?" But I just laughed at her message. I glanced at the guns laid next to me. All fear stems from inadequate firepower. I replied, "You don't have to worry about all this. Remember not to follow along with their action. I'm only warning once." With that said, I picked up the gun in my hand. Just sit back and enjoy the show. Soon, it was 2:30 in the morning. A group of people armed with weapons came marching towards my house. We must kill that shameless, selfish ghost, Zhang Yi, this time. Soon, the corridor at the entrance of my house was surrounded by Chen Zhenghao and his gang. "Zhang Yi, come out! If you don't want to die, this is your last chance." I saw this scene from the surveillance and couldn't help laughing. I didn't bother being polite with them. I turned on the high-voltage device. Just as a few youngsters were about to break down the door, they were electrocuted into a charred state, emitting a puff of black smoke. Seeing this scene, the others were frightened and dumbfounded, and they wanted to escape. But as soon as they turned around, they were blocked by Chen Zhenghao and his gang. Chen Zhenghao pointed his gun at a person's head. "If you dare to enter the battle, be prepared to die. Keep smashing the door. I don't believe his high-voltage electricity can last a year." Glasses Man, their strategist, immediately came forward to encourage them. "Don't be afraid, everyone. We must avenge our fallen comrades. As long as we work together to break this iron door, what awaits us inside are a cozy fireplace and endless food." Encouraged by Glasses Man's words, the residents who originally wanted to leave were instantly filled with fighting spirit. They picked up a wooden stake and continuously smashed my door. For a bite of food, everyone was exerting all their strength. Listening to the rhythmic thudding coming from outside, I also became interested. So, I instantly retrieved a large speaker from another space. "Seeing you all so hard-working, let me play a tune for you." Hearing the battle song, the neighbors seemed to be injected with a stimulant, hitting the door even harder. However, after half an hour of relentless beating, a few of them were panting and fell to the ground. "What kind of door is this? We've been hitting it for so long, but only a tiny scratch was left. It seems we won't be able to break it open without years of effort." At this moment, Glasses Man, who works at a bank, stepped forward and immediately identified it as a bank vault-grade door. He said, "Such a door can't be breached even by a tank, let alone wood." Hearing this, the others looked shocked. "Then, is there no way to open this steel door?" Glasses Man sighed. "Unless we can find the world's top locksmith, there's no chance to open it without the key." While he was explaining, I had already come to the door with my crossbow. "So professional," I murmured, and then shot an arrow. Seeing Glasses Man get shot, the other residents in the hallway panicked. "Zhang Yi actually has weapons. Glasses Man and Chen Zhenghao didn't even tell us." Some of the slower neighbors were quickly turned into sieves by my arrows. Looking at the neighbors scattered around on the floor, I felt no guilt. If they want my life, there's no need for me to be polite. Just then, Glasses Man had an idea. "Everyone, don't panic. I have a plan. Zhang Yi's steel door might be thick, but the wall is still made of cement bricks. I don't believe we can't break it down." Hearing this, the neighbors seemed to understand. "We have so many people. We can definitely break his wall in less than half an hour." A few neighbors immediately mustered up their strength and started smashing the wall with vigor, while Glasses Man kept encouraging them. Sure enough, in a short while, cracks started appearing in the wall. Seeing this, a big man smashed the wall with even more force, but the next second, a metallic clang echoed. The impact numbed the man's arm. Glasses Man rushed forward and exclaimed, "Damn it! The wall is made of steel plates too!" Hearing this, several big men looked shocked. Who uses steel plates for wall construction? But they still didn't give up. They randomly hit different parts of the wall, hoping to find a weakness. Watching this scene, I couldn't help but laugh. I'm sorry to inform you that the outer walls of my house are reinforced with half-a-meter thick, high-quality steel. Not to mention your hammers. Even if a sniper rifle ball came, I wouldn't be afraid. Soon the neighbors realized that I must have known about the apocalypse in advance, which is why I built such a sturdy fortress. Glasses Man grew angrier the more he thought about it. He knew about the snow disaster all along, this selfish and narrow-minded person, only caring about himself, ignoring the lives of everyone else. Some people couldn't bear this despair and started to cry on the spot. At this moment, Chen Zhenghao stepped out from the crowd. "What are you crying for? His walls are made of fine steel. But does that mean the ceiling and the floor are too? We will split up and start tearing down the place." I refused to believe Zhang Yi could have built a tortoise shell. Hearing this, the neighbors were re-energized. They went up and down my house, hammering with all their might. Watching this on the surveillance, I chuckled. Chen Zhenghao has some brain power, but unfortunately not much. After hammering for a while, they once again fell into despair. As it turns out, I did build my house into a reinforced tortoise shell. Without power tools, they would need to hammer for years, without rest or sustenance, to have any chance of breaking this fine steel wall. At the thought of this, the stomach of a neighbor, who had not eaten for 2 days and wasted so much energy hammering, started grumbling. He wanted nothing more than to eat a large piece of meat. Thinking of meat, an idea suddenly popped into his head. He looked at a neighbor beside him, and they both drooled at the thought. After realizing what the other was thinking, they awkwardly turned their heads away. Glasses Man, on the other hand, was in despair. Are we really going to wait for death in this apocalypse? That damn Zhang Yi is so cruel. Why can't he sacrifice himself for the good of everyone? Then, a bright idea from Glasses Man. I remember that Zhang Yi had floor-to-ceiling windows on his balcony when he renovated. Maybe we can break in from there. Hearing this, everyone's hopes were reignited. I refused to believe that Zhang Yi would seal his windows. With that, they got together and started moving towards my balcony using planks. Soon they were outside my window, yelling and threatening. "Zhang Yi, it's best if you open the door yourself. Once we break in, you'll regret it." Hearing this, I calmly sipped my coffee. You think you're smart, huh? And who says glass has to be more fragile than metal? As expected, after knocking for a while, they found no traces on the floor-to-ceiling windows and could only vent their frustrations helplessly outside. Of course, I wasn't going to let them off so easily. I leisurely walked to the kitchen and picked up a homemade Molotov cocktail. Since it's so cold, I'll help you warm up a bit. With that, I placed the Molotov cocktail into a small window in the room. The next second, a hole appeared in the ceiling of the balcony. By the time they realized it was a Molotov cocktail, it was already too late. Soon, flames engulfed one of the neighbors. The intense burning sensation made him wail in agony. Before long, he could no longer bear the pain and jumped off the balcony. Seeing this, several neighbors finally felt regret, pressing against the glass, begging for mercy. In your previous lives, you turned me into feces and never showed any remorse. Left with no choice, they had to return the way they came, hoping that those behind them could help. But they were stopped by Glasses Man and his group. Got lost. Don't bring the fire over and involve us. Even hitting the first person with a wooden hammer. The man let out a cry and fell from the high building. Soon those with no way out were burnt to charcoal in the fire. In the face of this scene, Glasses Man and his group showed no mercy. Instead, they gathered around to warm themselves by the fire. The neighbors, starved and no longer arrogant, dropped their weapons, crossed the balcony, and came back to my floor-to-ceiling windows. "Zhang Yi, we were wrong. We just want a bite to eat. Please save us. We'll do whatever you want from now on." Listening to the pleas from outside the window, I sighed. Don't be like this. It makes me feel so bad. I have a strange quirk when I'm upset. I want to eat. Saying this, I started eating the noodles in my bowl. The sight of this made the people outside drool all over the ground. If only we could have some soup. I know that in this apocalypse, only human hearts are unpredictable, but now I have a better strategy. I then said to the people outside, "Of course, I, Zhang Yi, am not a cold-hearted person who wouldn't save people. I'll give you a chance. Bring me Chen Zhenghao's head, and I'll feed you these kinds of noodles for a week, enough for each meal." Hearing this, they all looked excitedly at Chen Zhenghao in the next building. At this moment, in their eyes, Chen Zhenghao looked like a delicious roast chicken. Taking him down would mean they wouldn't have to worry about food and drink for a week. Seeing their ill-intent gazes, Chen Zhenghao felt a chill down his spine. A feeling of, "there are always villains trying to harm me," arose. Before he could think further, they charged towards him. However, under the threat of Chen Zhenghao's gun, they dared not act rashly. At this moment, Chen Zhenghao received a bounty notice I sent in the homeowner group chat, saying that anyone who could kill Chen Zhenghao would receive a week's worth of food. Seeing the message, Chen Zhenghao ran off immediately, finally understanding why everyone was giving him hostile looks. The following day, bright and early, several neighbors had already set up an ambush for Chen Zhenghao. Although Chen Zhenghao had a pistol, his bullets were ultimately limited. Moreover, my impenetrable safe house was simply not something they could break through. From previous attempts, they had already lost 40 to 50 people. Rather than starving to death sooner or later, it was better to find an opportunity on the crippled Chen Zhenghao. At this time, Chen Zhenghao was scolding his two subordinates to go out and eat snow. He was well aware. At this moment, he was the little fat lamb in the eyes of all the property owners. Whatever he did, he had to act quickly. Just then, two neighbors who had been ambushing for a long time launched a sudden attack with kitchen knives. Seeing this, the two subordinates were shocked. "Watch out for the back." However, it was already too late. Two neighbors with red eyes holding kitchen knives had already reached their back, yet they were shot down by him. At this time, Chen Zhenghao was panting heavily. Luckily, he responded quickly. Following that, Chen Zhenghao ordered his men to drag the two bodies back home. Just worrying about having nothing to eat, these two reckless things even came to the door. Just at this moment, one of the subordinates exclaimed, "Quick, look at your back." It turns out that although Chen Zhenghao had just dropped the two men in time, he was still cut by a kitchen knife, leaving a long wound. Afterwards, Chen Zhenghao asked the subordinate to help him back to the room, while he made a call to invite Dr. Zhou to come and treat his wound. A moment later, Zhou Kier, carrying a medicine box, arrived at Chen Zhenghao's house. "I must make it clear in advance. I won't help you for free." Hearing this, Chen Zhenghao smiled. "Of course, I'll share some food with you." After saying that, he had a subordinate bring over a basin of chicken feet. However, seeing the food, Zhou Kier felt nauseated. Naturally, she knew what was in the basin. She immediately declared that she would rather die than eat such a thing. Chen Zhenghao on the side gave a lecherous smile. "I can't bear to see you die." He knew how important it was to have a doctor by his side in this post-apocalyptic world. After saying that, Chen Zhenghao reached out to touch Zhou Kier's cheek. "I will save you for the last." Seeing this, Zhou Kier quickly slapped his hand away and turned around to leave, but was stopped by the two subordinates behind her. "Why is Dr. Zhou in such a hurry to leave? You must stay here until my wound heals." Then Chen Zhenghao began to discuss plans with his subordinates. Ever since I issued a bounty, Zhou Kier, who heard their conversation, immediately got up pretending to go to the bathroom, but actually, she was telling me their conversation in the bathroom. I told her to stay there and keep observing. Soon the door of Glasses Man's house next door to me was knocked on, and then Chen Zhenghao and his men swaggered in. Knowing that they were going to live here, the couple of Glasses Man didn't dare to say more. Fortunately, they had already hidden the remaining food on their bodies. There were so many empty rooms in this building, any one of them would be suitable to live in. Just at this moment, two subordinates landed a blow on the back of the couple's heads, and in no time the couple fell in a pool of blood. Chen Zhenghao, standing to one side, gave a cruel smile. "I'm doing this for their own good. The weather is so cold, they would freeze to death sooner or later if they go out. Moreover, we have to store some food, don't we, Dr. Zhou?" At this time, in Wang Min's house, the three Glasses men lay on the sofa, wailing incessantly. Ever since their last unsuccessful attack on my house, their plan to forcibly take medicine had also failed. Now, without the treatment of antibiotics and other drugs, their wounds had started to fester. A disgusting stench wafted through the entire hall. Seeing this, Glasses Man was shocked. He had just graduated and was looking for a job. He didn't want to die so soon. The wounds of Zhou Peng and the others were in the same condition. If it were just a simple scratch, it would be okay. But alas, they were wounded by my rusty arrows. Without the use of antibiotics, their wounds would only get worse. At this moment, Zhou Peng ran to Wang Min. "Can you please plead with Zhang Yi for us again? Otherwise, we're all going to die." But Wang Min waved his hand. "I'm out of ideas. Zhang Yi is not easily persuaded." On the other side, after the bounty was put on Chen Zhenghao, he had begun to feel restless. He even feared that he would be ambushed by his subordinates in the middle of the night. So, he used meat and a pistol to threaten some residents to join his camp. Hearing that there was food, many people willingly joined. Seeing this scene from the surveillance, I couldn't help but laugh. Even if you have many people in your camp, Chen Zhenghao, what do you think they will do when there's no food left? Then I picked up the phone to call Zhou Qier, asking her about the situation on her side. I could only hear Zhou Qier nervously answering, "Chen Zhenghao's group has gone crazy. The existing food has been eaten up. They are preparing to start robbing houses. In these few days, many neighbors have already become their feces." Then she pleaded, "Can you save me? I haven't eaten anything for 2 days. I can't hold on much longer if this continues." Upon hearing this, I paused for a moment. Zhou Qier is the main surgeon at the nearby Grade 3A hospital. In the post-apocalyptic world, doctors are hard to find. We can't let her die so easily. So I replied, "Don't worry. Once I finish this last task, I assure you will not want for anything." Just then, my front door was knocked. Zhou Peng was at the door, hysterical. "Zhang Yi, you coward, come out. Fang Yuqing is starving to death, and you're still hiding in here. Are you a man?" Hearing this, I laughed. "At this point, I'm willing to call you the last bootlicker in the apocalypse." "So," I said flatly, "you're still thinking about Fang Yuqing at a time like this? You should think more about yourself. Given your current situation, the tetanus bacteria has spread all over your body. Even if I gave you antibiotics, it would be useless. I remember you've been a bootlicker for so many years. I don't think you've ever even held Fang Yuqing's hand, have you? Instead of waiting here to die, you might as well do what you want to do." Hearing this, Zhou Peng suddenly realized. He struggled to get up, staggering back up the stairs. After returning home, Zhou Peng rushed into Fang Yuqing's room, kneeling down before her with a thud. Seeing Zhou Peng in this state, Fang Yuqing was instantly scared into screaming, "Zhou Peng, what are you doing?" Zhou Peng, his eyes bloodshot, stared at her intently. "Fang Yuqing, will you marry me?" Fang Yuqing frowned. Disgust filled her eyes. She instinctively pinched her nose. "I won't." She shoved Zhou Peng to one side, bitterly saying, "Get out of here, you're about to die. You stink, I have to go find Zhang Yi. Who do you think you are? You're not even a spare tire in my book." Zhou Peng broke down. He had given so much for Fang Yuqing, even his own life was at stake. But Fang Yuqing never had a heartbeat for him from beginning to end. In desperation, Zhou Peng grabbed Fang Yuqing's neck tightly, shrieking hysterically, "You love me. I'm going to die soon. Let's go to hell together forever." Seeing this, Fang Yuqing fearfully slapped Zhou Peng. "No. Get away from me. You smell so bad, disgusting. You dare call me smelly? Isn't it because of you that I ended up like this?" Fang Yuqing, her face turning purple from Zhou Peng's grip, struggled desperately. "Who's to blame if you're useless? Desperate loser." Meanwhile, after a night of deep thought, Zhou Qier finally agreed to Zhang Yi's proposition. She knew it was a test from Zhang Yi. Although dangerous, if she didn't do it, she wouldn't last long under Chen Zhenghao. With this thought, Zhou Qier slowly walked towards the kitchen. She told Chen Zhenghao that she wanted to help in the kitchen. Hearing this, Chen Zhenghao thought Zhou Qier had come to her senses, nodding his head in approval. "That's best. I knew you couldn't resist. You still have some use for me now." Zhou Qier turned her head back and returned to her usual aloof demeanor. She slowly said, "I don't want to die. I want to live." Hearing this, Chen Zhenghao finally relaxed. He waved his hand nonchalantly and let Zhou Qier into the kitchen to help. Once inside, Zhou Qier picked up an axe and started to chop wood for the fire. Energy is scarce these days. Cooking can only be done by burning furniture. Although she had agreed to Zhang Yi's terms, she couldn't help but feel a bit hesitant about this kind of meat. After a while, a little brother asked Joe Kier to watch the fire. Don't let it go out. Then he turned and left to prepare the ingredients. Seeing this, Joe Kier knew her chance had come. First, she pulled out a small bottle from her pocket, poured all the liquid inside into the pot. Then, fighting the nausea in her stomach, she carefully stirred the pot. At mealtime, she served everyone a large bowl of meat soup. Chen Zhenghao, looking at the steaming meat soup in his bowl, smiled. I never thought the day would come when Dr. Zhou would join us. In order to gain their trust, Joe Kier also served herself a bowl of soup and quietly went back to her room. They had no idea that Joe Kier had drugged the meat soup. Back in her room, Joe Kier waited silently for the drug to take effect. She had put most of a bottle of sleeping pills in the pot. These sleeping pills work quickly. Just one pill can put someone into a deep sleep in 30 minutes. Now all she had to do was wait and pray that Chen Zhenghao wouldn't notice she had tampered with the soup. In no time, Chen Zhenghao and the others fell asleep on the sofa. Seeing this, Joe Kier knew the drug had taken effect. She took a deep breath and immediately messaged Zhang Yi. I've given them a large dose of sleeping pills. They've all passed out. What are you planning to do next? Zhang Yi replied flatly. Drag them to the balcony. Seeing that Chen Zhenghao and his group were all here, I immediately let out a cold sneer. You guys finally fell into my hands, huh? Joe Kier saw me smirking on the other side and nervously asked, Do you plan to kill them all? Hearing this, I smiled and directly tossed a hemp rope over. You guessed wrong. The one to take action is you, not me. Now find the gun on Chen Zhenghao and throw it to me. Then tie them all to this railing. Upon hearing this, Joe Kier hesitated. If she was really to kill, she didn't know if she could do it. Before she could think more, I pointed a handgun directly at her. You only have this one chance, miss it, and it won't come again. Seeing that I wasn't joking, Joe Kier had no choice but to follow my instructions and tie up Chen Zhenghao and his group. Then she found that ostentatious handgun on Chen Zhenghao. Just then, I pointed the handgun directly at Joe Kier's head, took out the gun's magazine, and then threw it over. Hearing this, Joe Kier looked hesitant. How do I know you won't suddenly turn against me? But I just laughed. Do you have any other options now? In such extreme weather, you won't last long without my help. Upon hearing this, Joe Kier had no choice but to remove the magazine according to my instructions. And then she threw the handgun to me. After receiving the gun, I carefully examined it. Confirming that it was the same one Chen Zhenghao had used before, I turned and went back to the room. Next, I took out a water pipe and opened the valve, spraying it directly at Chen Zhenghao's group. Joe Kier was shocked to see this. This way of turning people into ice lollies was utterly cruel. Chen Zhenghao, who was sleeping soundly, was frozen awake on the spot. The few underlings next to him were also screaming from the negative 100-degree cold water. Looking at his bound hands and feet, Chen Zhenghao realized that he had been drugged. Immediately, he twisted his head to look at me. Zhang Yi, you are so despicable. Hearing this, I just laughed. You dare to call me despicable? It's time to send you guys on your way. With that, I opened the valve again. The next second, a thick column of water sprayed directly at several people. In such extreme cold, no one can withstand negative 100-degree water for 3 minutes. Sure enough, Chen Zhenghao and his group on the other side had already been frozen into ice lollies. Just at that moment, Joe Kier received my call. You've done a good job. You've passed the test. After hanging up the call, Joe Kier collapsed on the ground. Though she could finally survive, she was no longer the white-robed angel. Under my guidance, Joe Kier had successfully proven her value, and I naturally kept my word, deciding to let her live in my house. A moment later, Joe Kier cautiously arrived at my front door. Although I could see from the surveillance that she didn't carry any dangerous items, I didn't dare to be careless, so I picked up the handgun, pointed it at the door, and said coldly, "The door's not locked. You can come in." Upon hearing this, Joe Kier nervously pushed open the heavy steel door. Seeing her enter, I immediately locked the door, and Joe Kier collapsed directly on the floor. At this moment, a long-lost sense of warmth was filling her body. Joe Kier knew that I was living a decent life, but she didn't expect it to be this good. Apart from ample food, there was even a heating fireplace. Compared to the -100-degree weather outside, this was a warm paradise. But just as she was about to lose herself in this comfort, I put the gun directly to her back. "Dr. Joe, don't rush to enjoy. You don't think you've passed my test that easily, do you? Now you need to do one last thing. That is to prove to me you're not dangerous. Since you've chosen to align with me now, shouldn't we be honest with each other?" Upon hearing this, Joe Keir naturally knew what I meant, so she took off her coat directly, exposing her figure in front of me. Of course, I had no time to admire. Seeing that she had no hidden dangerous weapons, I handed her a bath towel. "You've worked hard these days. Go take a hot shower first. You stink." Hearing this, Joe Keir couldn't help but complain internally, "As if everyone lives as well as you. Life is even better than before the apocalypse." Soon the sound of the shower was heard from the bathroom, and I was fiddling with the medical kit that Joe Keir had brought in the living room. I put everything like syringes into the different space. Though we were being honest, it's always better to be cautious. 2 hours later, Joe Keir, dressed in pajamas, emerged from the bathroom, her wet hair hanging down her back. There was a thrilling beauty about her. I then patted the sofa next to me, indicating for her to sit down. Next, I picked up the hairdryer and began to blow-dry her hair. "I didn't let you live here because you're pretty, but because you're of some value to me. But you have to understand, this is my home. Allowing you to live here is a great favor, so it's best not to have any bad intentions. There's surveillance all over this room. Once I find you plotting against me, I'll have no qualms about killing you." Then I pointed to the room next door. "You'll live there from now on. Without my permission, you're not allowed to wander around." Hearing this, Joe Keir replied softly. She was very clear about the consequences of being thrown out by me. Then I continued, "Dr. Joe, you're a smart person. I hope you can do as you say. Of course, I won't treat you unfairly." At this point, I walked behind Joe Keir. "I'm about to reveal my biggest secret to you." Doing this was naturally to ensure Joe Keir's loyalty to me. Then I continued, "Everyone knows that the cause of this snow disaster is the gamma rays from a supernova explosion, but these rays can also cause mutations in humans. With that, I conjured a loaf of bread out of thin air. This is the superpower I gained. Different space. I can store any supplies in it." Seeing this, Joe Keir also suddenly understood. No wonder I was living such a comfortable life. I must have stored a lot of supplies in advance. Then I continued, "Dr. Joe, you're a smart person. Only by following me can you enjoy all my supplies. Will you have food to eat, hot water baths to take? Once I die, the supplies in the different space will disappear with me. So, you can only survive if I survive. Right now, I don't fully trust you. You need to exchange labor for rewards, so from now on, you'll be responsible for all the housework." Just as Joe Keir was about to agree, I interrupted her. "Besides this, what else can you offer me?" Upon hearing this, Joe Keir's cheeks suddenly turned red. Being a smart person, she naturally knew what I was talking about. The next day, I looked at the still sleeping Joe Keir with mixed feelings. Having a woman around in the apocalypse is quite nice. If I were alone, I fear I might have a mental breakdown one day. Then I knocked on the door, signaling Joe Keir to get up for breakfast. Joe Keir woke up from her sleep. This was the best sleep she'd had since the apocalypse began. Then she dressed and came into the living room. Afterwards, I smiled. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and eat." Hearing this, Joe Keir didn't hesitate. She picked up the hamburger on the table and started eating it hungrily. Seeing my half-smiling expression, Joe Keir realized her eating manners were not good. So she sat up straight like a well-behaved child. After Joe Keir was full, I tossed her a thermal coat. This coat is a high-tech product from before the apocalypse. It can withstand temperatures down to -100 degrees. Then I gestured for Joe Keir to come out with me. Joe Keir was puzzled. "What are we going to do?" At this, I gave a cold laugh. "Obviously, we're going out to smash those icicles to pieces. Those scum, even if they're frozen into icicles, are still disgusting to look at. Of course, I mainly want to set an example." Hearing this, Joe Keir started to think, holding the baseball bat. Although these people were indirectly killed by her, she still hesitated to smash them. Before she could think too much, I made a gesture of invitation. "Dr. Joe, it's your turn to take the stage. Seeing this, Joe Kier couldn't say anything else. She immediately climbed over the balcony and went to the other side along the board. Then, she raised the baseball bat in her hand and smashed it down on the people frozen into icicles. Watching this, I took out my phone and started recording. Seeing this, Joe Kier was puzzled. "Are you recording? I want to show those dishonest guys who's in charge of this building now." At this, Joe Kier didn't hesitate and continued to swing the baseball bat in her hand. At this moment, she didn't care about her angel in white image. As long as she could survive, that's all that mattered. However, what she didn't expect was, right after I posted the video in the owners group, not only did the neighbors not blame her, they applauded her. Some even wept for joy at the sight. After all, Chen Zhenghao had been domineering here for a long time, and there were no few owners who had died at his hands. Now, seeing Chen Zhenghao get his comeuppance, they were naturally overjoyed. But before they could rejoice for long, I directly began my ascension ceremony in the owners group. From now on, this building will be under my Zhang Yi's rule, or else you'll end up like Chen Zhenghao. Then they remembered the video was posted by me, so they all started to flatter me in the group. Upon seeing the message, Fang Yuqing was the first to call me. I was surprised to get her call. I didn't expect this bitch to still be alive. I heard Fang Yuqing say pitifully on the other end of the phone, "Brother Zhang Yi, Chen Zhenghao is dead. Can I come to your house for food and warmth? I don't allow you to be with that woman Joe Kier. You belong only to me." Hearing this, I just laughed. "So you're not dead after all." Hearing this, Fang Yuqing seemed to understand. "I get it now. Brother Zhang Yi thought I was dead, and that's why he's with that woman Joe Kier, right? I'm coming to live the good life with you now." But her best friend and Wang Min were not happy about this. Their miserable lives were all because of Fang Yuqing. They would naturally not allow Fang Yuqing to have a good life. Soon, the sound of the three women fighting with each other came from the other end of the phone. Seeing this, Joe Kier hurried over. She felt a sense of crisis at this moment, afraid that I would run away. This scene suddenly gave me a wicked idea. "Fang Yuqing, in the last life, you made me turn into shit in despair. This time, it's your turn to experience despair." I slavishly followed her. For 18 years, I couldn't even become a backup option for her. In the end, after the apocalypse, I was deceived into becoming food for her. So, I immediately sent a cozy photo of Joe Kier and me to Fang Yuqing. Then I expressed regretfully, "Fang Yuqing, you're a good person, but I've found true love now. Let's not contact each other anymore. I don't want her to get the wrong idea." Upon hearing the voice message, Fang Yuqing hurriedly broke free from Wang Min to pick up her phone. After seeing the photo, she exploded. "Zhang Yi, the one who truly loves you is Fang Yuqing. Joe Kier is only with you for the food." Hearing this, I laughed. "Aren't you the same? Moreover, Joe Kier is far superior to you in every way. How could I give her up for you?" After reading the message, Fang Yuqing burst into tears. "I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You were so devoted to me before. How could you change so suddenly? It must be that bad woman Joe Kier who did something." Her best friends and Wang Min immediately began to mock her. "You self-centered white lotus, this is karma." On the other side, I asked Joe Kier, "Do you think I'm being cruel by doing this?" Joe Kier immediately leaned in. "I trust that you have your reasons for doing this." Hearing this, I also lowered my guard considerably. After all, no man can resist such an understanding and sensible woman. In a short while, Joe Kier made a table full of delicious lunch. I had just picked up an apple and taken a bite, when a message came in from the homeowners group chat. I saw the formerly arrogant Auntie Lin starting to make trouble again in the group. She claimed to have relatives in the upper echelons of the government, and threatened that everyone must hand over their food to her. Otherwise, everyone will be dealt with after the snowstorm. Seeing this message, I was taken aback. I remember Auntie Lin was the first to be looted by Chen Zhenghao. That she's still alive is truly a miracle. At that moment, Joe Kier quietly mentioned she had left some supplies when treating Lin Xiaohu, thinking that the snowstorm would pass quickly. She didn't expect the snow to last for 2.5 months. I was puzzled, logically, after so much time has passed. Even with the supplies Joe Kier left, Auntie Lin couldn't possibly have survived till now, especially when she also has a 2.5-year-old grandson. Hearing this, Joe Kier said that Lin Xiaohu died about 10 days ago due to lack of medication. Hearing this, It suddenly clicked for me. It seems that Auntie Lin has eaten her precious grandson. Zhou Qi naturally knew what I meant. Having been under Chen Zhenghao's control for 2 days, she has become quite numb to the concept of cannibalism. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. Seeing that it was Uncle Yu calling, I picked up the phone to answer and asked what was going on. On the other end, Uncle Yu looked awkward. Uncle Yu, as one of the few good people left after the apocalypse and also a martial artist, was someone I naturally wouldn't refuse. Uncle Yu hesitantly stated, Zhi Limei's daughter, Tang Bao, is running a fever, and she would like to borrow some fever-reducing medicine from me. Uncle Yu, who has been single all his life, was probably tempted by the young and attractive Zhi Limei. After being single for 40 years, how could Uncle Yu resist such temptation? So, he became the willing victim of this scheming mother. Hearing this, my expression faltered. This Zhi Limei is indeed not simple. Among all the homeowners, only Uncle Yu and I have stockpiled supplies. Yet she managed to make the most correct choice among many. But I didn't think much of it. After all, it's someone else's family matter. And this could be an opportunity to win over Uncle Yu for future use. So I smiled and said that I still have a few boxes of fever-reducing medicine and asked Uncle Yu to come pick it up later. Hearing this, Uncle Yu was overjoyed and profusely thanked me, even swearing that if I ever need his help in the future, he will do his best to assist me. At that moment, Zhou Qi leaned over and asked, Do you have a good relationship with Uncle Yu? I answered indifferently. People interact mainly for mutual benefit. Uncle Yu is a kind and honest person. Having him owe me a favor might be useful later on. Moreover, I don't want to see a retired soldier like him lose the last glimmer of his humanity in these apocalyptic times. Soon there was a knock on my door from Uncle Yu. Is little Zhang there? It's Yu Jiguang. Hearing this, I looked through the door's monitor. Unexpectedly, Zhi Limei also came along. She anxiously asked from outside the door, Our Tang Bao has a high fever. Zhang Yi, please help us. Before she even finished speaking, I tossed a box of fever-reducing medicine through the small door window. Give it to the child quickly. Don't waste any more time. Uncle Yu hurriedly picked up the medicine, then said with a look of gratitude, Zhang Yi, thank you so much. You've helped me out twice already in this apocalypse. Just then, Zhi Limei stepped forward and pleaded, Zhang Yi, do you have a heater? Could Tang Bao stay at your place for a while? We'll leave once she gets better. However, I saw through her little scheme immediately. You're probably wanting to take a mile when given an inch. So, I spoke calmly to those outside. Sorry, Miss C, these are special times, and I can't easily let outsiders in. Plus, we're almost out of coal. We're even resorting to wearing 8 down jackets each to keep warm. At that moment, Uncle Yu quickly intervened to smooth things over. Zhang Yi has already done us a big favor. Let's not make things difficult for him. However, Zhi Limei began to emotionally manipulate the situation. Zhang Yi, please consider it for Uncle Yu's sake, and for the sake of the child being so young. Let us stay at your place for a short time. Hearing this, my expression instantly darkened. I thought to myself, what a master manipulator this Zhi Limei is. She survived for quite some time in the previous apocalyptic world by exploiting people's sympathies. But this trick will only work on honest people like Uncle Yu. So I calmly replied, if this were before the apocalypse, Miss C, I'd have no problem letting you and your entire village stay. But now it's the end times, and all the tenants in the building want to take over my place. I hope you understand. However, Zhi Limei wasn't giving up. You let Zhou Qi stay, didn't you? If she can stay, why can't we? Hearing this, I chuckled. Zhou Qi is my girlfriend. If she doesn't stay at my place, should she stay at yours? Zhou Qi was surprised to hear this. Although she knew I was just speaking casually, having a dependable man to rely on in these times is what every woman desires. At that point, Uncle Yu also chimed in, Yeah, little Zhang has already helped us a lot. Let's not make things more difficult for him. But Zhi Limei looked dejected. I'm doing all of this for the sake of the child. What will happen to me if something happens to her? Seeing the situation, Uncle Yu felt helpless. He could only leave with her while continually apologizing to me. After they left, I sighed. With this woman meddling, I fear it might strain my relationship with Uncle Yu. In my eyes, Uncle Yu is the ideal worker. Not only is he upright, but he's also quite skilled. Now, with Zhi Limei whispering in his ear, my plans might be delayed. On the other side, as soon as Uncle Yu got home, he began questioning Zhi Limei. Medicine is scarce right now. It's good enough that he gave us some. Why are you so greedy? Zi Limei, holding the child, looked distressed. I'm doing this for our child and our future. I don't plan to freeload off him forever. Hearing this, Uncle Yu sighed. I understand what you mean, but we should be grateful. If it weren't for little Zhang warning me about the snow disaster, I wouldn't be alive today. Upon hearing this, Zi Limei began to ponder. If Zhang Yi knew about the snow disaster in advance, he must have hoarded a lot of supplies. She leaned on Uncle Yu's shoulder and sighed. I understand the principle, but while you see him as a benefactor, he sees you as a potential threat. Didn't you see? He even threw the medicine out to us, afraid that we would enter and take over his home. If he's genuinely a good person, how could he ruthlessly kill dozens of neighbors? In my view, he's just offering minor favors to use you as his henchman later. Before Zi Limei could finish, Uncle Yu loudly interrupted her. Enough! I, Yu Jiguang, can still distinguish between right and wrong. Please don't speak like this anymore. His angry outburst startled Zi Limei, who then apologized repeatedly. She knew that Uncle Yu was now angry and would have to find another opportunity to stir the pot. Uncle Yu then left, his face stern. Though he is honest and straightforward, he's not foolish. He knows exactly what Zi Limei is thinking. Zi Limei looked at the sleeping Tang Bao with a grim face. To survive in this apocalypse, I must be ruthless. Now, the deadly cold has persisted for 75 days, and the accumulated snow in the residential area has piled up to the height of an 8-story building. Leaving the area is nearly impossible, and the remaining tenants can only start looking for food nearby. At this moment, a group of unwelcome guests arrived in the snowy area. They are digging in the snow, and eventually unearthed a tunnel leading to my apartment complex. A few of them, holding shovels and hammers, crawled out from the tunnel. Without any hesitation, they headed straight for my apartment on the 24th floor. Just then, a tenant who was going out to dig for snow to eat ran into them. Seeing their malicious gaze, the tenant immediately dropped his bucket and started running. But 2 legs can't outrun a dozen. He was quickly knocked down by their shovels. Anything alive that they encounter will become their food, but they have something more important to do right now: to take over my home. This is because they recently found out that I have hoarded a large amount of food. In this end time when food and warmth are scarce, this information is undoubtedly a ticking time bomb. Once they take me down, they can live longer. Soon, this group confidently arrived at my front door. A young man skilled in demolitions stepped forward with a bundle of C4 explosives. After lighting the fuse, he sprinted towards the end of the corridor. Moments later, a deafening explosion resonated throughout the building. The loud noise instantly jolted me awake. Given the situation, I couldn't afford to think too much. I hurriedly grabbed my handgun and checked the surveillance equipment. I saw a group of unfamiliar faces sneaking around at the end of the hallway, discussing something. From the tools they were holding, I quickly confirmed their identity. They were a group of construction workers from the neighboring building. I remembered that their group consists of about 20 or more people, and the fact that they're boldly heading for my place indicates that news of my stockpile has leaked. Outside my door, the group seemed puzzled. Old donkey, what kind of crappy bomb did you bring? It can't even blow open a simple door. Hearing this, Old Donkey rubbed the back of his head. Maybe the explosives got damp, reducing their potency. Why don't we just break in? We're professionals at tearing down buildings. Seeing this unfold on my monitor, I was instantly furious. If the tiger doesn't show its might, you think I'm a sick cat, huh? I immediately took out the white phosphorus I had previously hoarded from another dimension. Quickly, I made some simple white phosphorus grenades, and along with some incendiary grenades, threw them out of the small window by the door. When white phosphorus grenades explode, they instantly generate temperatures of up to 1,000 degrees Celsius, melting objects nearby. Soon, 2 people at the door who couldn't dodge in time were instantly melted by the high heat. The fire rapidly spread throughout the corridor. Old Donkey, who was on fire, was about to shout to his companions, but the next second a bullet went straight through his head. I then picked up my handgun and fired several shots at the people outside. This scene left the team leader, Second Uncle, stunned on the spot. They had thought they could easily take over my home, but they didn't expect my house to be not only extremely secure, but also equipped with such lethal weapons. Soon, the last worker approaching my front door was shot dead by me. Looking at the several burning bodies on the ground, second uncle didn't dare hesitate any longer and hurriedly led the remaining people to escape back to the neighboring community, fearing that they too would be reduced to ashes if they were a second too slow. I, however, stared at the handgun that had run out of bullets and fell into deep thought. In this apocalyptic world, there will undoubtedly be interest groups stronger than these workers. To deal with these tough characters, I need to acquire even more powerful weapons. Moreover, these guys clearly came prepared. I must find an opportunity to completely eliminate them. I then returned to the room to comfort the already terrified Joe Kier. Don't be afraid. I've driven those people away. Hearing this, Joe Kier looked at me with tearful eyes. Although she knew we were now in an apocalyptic world, this was her first time encountering a firefight. If those people had broken in, she could imagine the terrible fate awaiting her. But upon hearing that I'd driven those people away, Joe Kier felt considerably relieved. As of now, I am her only support. She then asked me what had just happened. I briefly explained the situation. Upon hearing it, Joe Kier looked stunned. These people are much more dangerous than Chen Zhenghao. Chen Zhenghao was merely flaunting with a handgun, while these workers do physical work every day, making them naturally stronger than ordinary people, and they even know demolitions. We have to resolve this lingering problem as soon as possible, otherwise we won't even be able to sleep peacefully in the future. Upon finishing my thought, I took a look at my phone. It's time to find some expendable people to do some work for me. At the same time, the homeowners group chat was blowing up. I simply explained the situation in the group. Upon seeing the message, the homeowners started to fawn over me. Zhang Yi, you are our hero. However, I told them that my weapons were almost depleted, and everyone would have to fend for themselves. Just then, Uncle Yu called me to inquire about my situation, and mentioned he knows the leader of those workers, a man named Huang Tianfang. Under his leadership, dozens of homeowners have already been harmed in the past few days. Hearing this, an idea instantly formed in my mind. Uncle Yu, can you provide me with more details about them? That way I can discuss plans with everyone to deal with them. Uncle Yu told me that this group comes from the building next door and are part of a group called Heavenly United Gang. The gang consists of more than 20 members, with Huang Tianfang as the ruthless leader. His misdeeds are no less than those of Chen Zhenghao. Hearing this, I decided to collaborate with the homeowners on the 25th floor to counteract these workers. They've suffered a significant loss at my hands this time, and will definitely look for another opportunity to strike back. Unless we eliminate them, nobody will be at peace. The homeowners in my building are the sort who only respond to force, and would not easily agree to unite against external threats. What I need to do now is wait for the right moment. I then turned to Joe Kier beside me. These neighbors might show respect to me on the surface, but they'd love to tear me down behind my back. So I'll leave it to you and Uncle Yu to gather information. The sooner we understand the distribution of forces in the area, the better for our next steps. 2.5 days quickly passed. Joe Kier, dressed in work attire, listed the latest collected intelligence on a blackboard. The most significant threat right now is the Heavenly United Gang made up of workers. Since they are physically laboring workers, they are naturally stronger than ordinary people. However, the good news is that they don't have access to firearms or other highly lethal weapons. The next is the Wolf Gang from Building 21, led by 2 thugs, Wang Qiang and Xiao Lu. Their members are mostly young people in their 20s. Hearing this, I pondered. It seems that the main threats come from these 2 groups. Homeowners in the other buildings have already diminished their numbers through infighting, so they should not pose a threat to me. I then instructed Joe Kier to continue gathering information, emphasizing the importance of confirming whether they possess firearms or other weapons. On the other side, Huang Tianfang led the Heavenly United Gang back again. However, this time they didn't choose to directly attack my home, but decided to deal with the surrounding neighbors first. They said that if I don't come out, they'll eliminate all the other homeowners in Building 25. As expected, his words quickly ignited a strong reaction from all the homeowners in the building. Zhang Yi, you're the one who caused all this trouble. Why should we have to bear it? If you have any conscience left, you'd step up now. Seeing the message, I couldn't help but laugh. These people never change, do they? I replied with a smile. You guys can't resist them, so why should I go out and get myself killed? You think you're the only ones with thick skin? What does this have to do with me? This instantly infuriated a few of my neighbors. Zhang Yi, did a dog eat your conscience? Your house is safe as a turtle shell, have you thought about us? Seeing this, I was immediately enraged. These idiots really don't know the meaning of the word death. What do your lives have to do with me? When you all ganged up on me, where was your talk of conscience then? You don't really think I won't take action against you, do you? Upon reading my message, several neighbors were left speechless because they knew I would really do it. They initially thought they would survive after Chen Zhenghao's death, but now a more ruthless Heavenly United gang has arrived. If things continue this way, there'll be fertilizer long before the snowstorm ends. Looking at my neighbors who were on the verge of despair, I dialed Uncle Yu with a smile. Uncle Yu, it's your turn to perform. After a long silence, Uncle Yu suddenly spoke in the group chat. Don't be afraid, everyone. The Heavenly United gang is at most 20+ people. As long as we work together, we can fend them off. Seeing the message, the homeowners suddenly saw a glimmer of hope. Uncle Yu is right. We'll all support you wholeheartedly. However, Uncle Yu then revealed that he hasn't eaten for several days. He said that if we want to win this fight, it would have to rely on Zhang Yi. Not only can my house afford 3 meals a day, but we also have weapons, making me the most suitable leader for the group. Seeing the message, I couldn't help but smile. I didn't expect Uncle Yu, this seemingly honest man, to be quite skilled at manipulating people. Soon Uncle Yu sent me a private message, asking what we should do next. Seeing that the timing was about right, I told Uncle Yu to keep supporting me in the chat. I must seize this opportunity to make everyone listen to me. Only then can our building be safe in the future. Then, I coldly stated in the homeowners group chat, I'm willing to talk more with you all only because of Uncle Yu. I can help, but under one condition. You all have to listen to me. No sneaky moves behind my back. Hearing this, many homeowners quickly responded, as long as you're not sending us to our deaths, we'll do whatever you say, Zhang Yi. Of course, I didn't believe these people would be so cooperative. I immediately replied, I won't send you to your deaths, but I will need you to take up arms against the Heavenly United gang. Can you do that? The chat went silent. What's the difference between this and sending us to die? Seeing that no one was responding, I laughed. So you all want me to go out there and risk my life alone, is it? Joe Kier, who was standing beside me, was also speechless at these cowardly neighbors. I continued in the group chat, if that's the case, there's no need for further discussion. You can wait for the Heavenly United gang to take you out one by one. My front door is made of steel, so I'm not worried. Seeing this, Uncle Yu hurriedly supported me in the group chat. If we continue like this, we're all doomed. Instead of waiting to be slaughtered, why not fight together for a chance at survival? Hearing this, the homeowners realized the severity of the situation. Uncle Yu is right. We might as well give it our all. Seeing that all the homeowners had no objections, I immediately stated, from now on, everyone must follow my instructions. If I find out anyone is trying to sit back and reap the benefits while doing nothing, don't blame me, Zhang Yi, for being ruthless. Hearing this, everyone in the group chat started tagging the other homeowners who were playing dead. We're at a life and death crossroads now, so pretending to be dead any longer would make it real. I also know the principle of ruling with a balance of kindness and sternness. So, I continued in the chat, since you all have chosen to follow me, I won't let you down. As long as you listen to my orders, I will go out and find supplies for you. To hold the building, they need at least basic combat capabilities. And luckily, I have already prepared some snowmobiles. In this snowy apocalypse, I am the only one who can move freely throughout the city. However, the homeowners looked confused after reading the message. Won't you freeze to death looking for supplies in this extreme cold? I assured them, I know what I'm doing. As a leader, I must do something for everyone. I've been a warehouse manager for 2 years and know the locations of nearby malls and supermarkets. My own supplies are also running out, and we need to find more if we want to survive. Hearing this, many homeowners were moved to tears, saying that they had chosen the right leader. But only I know the true nature of these people. In the apocalypse, human nature is the most unpredictable. The neighbors started to treat me like a god, saying that they would follow my orders without question. However, I didn't care about their flattery. If it weren't for fighting against the Heavenly United gang, I wouldn't care whether they live or die. I can't forget the pain of being torn apart in my previous life. Joe Kier looked worried. The snowstorm has lasted so long, and the outside world is almost paralyzed. No one knows what dangers lurk outside. I put on my level 3 armor and smiled at Joe Keir. I've been wanting to go out and see for a while. Now is a good opportunity. Don't worry, there are enough supplies at home to sustain you. Joe Keir, knowing I still don't fully trust her, volunteered to go with me. I pinched her fair cheek and said, "Woman, you should stay at home and wait for your man to return." With that, I turned around and left, assuring Joe Keir that I trust her completely now. Joe Keir was touched, but within 2 seconds, I secretly moved all the remaining food and coal at home into an alternate space. Then, I went down the stairs and arrived on the 4th floor. By now, the snow had piled up as high as the 3rd and 4th floors. I only needed to open the window to step directly outside, but as soon as I landed, the snow engulfed up to my knees. Luckily, before the apocalypse, I had stashed some snowmobiles in an alternate space. Otherwise, it would be impossible to move in snow piled meters high. I looked around and found that, apart from the sound of the snowstorm, the neighborhood was utterly silent. Seeing no one spying, I took a snowmobile from my alternate space, unaware that a shadowy figure in the building above was watching every move. Riding my beloved motorcycle, I headed out of the neighborhood. I'd been cooped up at home for so long, I was starting to get cabin fever. Finally, I have a chance to breathe some fresh air. After satisfying my urge to speed, I drove the snowmobile to the Heavenly Sea City police station. The primary purpose of this trip was to find more powerful weapons. The root of all fear in this post-apocalyptic world is insufficient firepower. The station was pitch black, seemingly abandoned long ago. However, a few steps in, I discovered some frozen cops huddled in a corner. Seeing their thin clothes made me uneasy. They must have been on the night shift when the extreme cold hit, without even proper clothing. After paying my respects to these officers who once protected the city, I covered them with a white cloth. Just then, I noticed a bunch of metal behind the cloth. It was a set of keys to all the rooms in the building. My face lit up at the sight. With these keys, I can easily access the armory. After paying my respects to these heroes one last time, I began to search for the armory. Soon, a room labeled Armory appeared before me. Upon opening the door, all sorts of weapons came into view. I even found a powerful sniper rifle. After some time spent defending my safe house, my shooting skills have reached the point of unerring accuracy. With these weapons, I have nothing to fear, even if several more Heavenly United gangs show up. I stretched out my hand, sucked all the weapons in the armory into my alternate space. Next, it's time to find supplies for those sniper rifle fodder neighbors. Although my safe house can withstand various forms of artillery, it won't hold if someone blows up the building's load-bearing walls. The best approach is to use these expendable neighbors as my vanguard. The snow disaster has been ongoing for 2 months now, and the shopping centers near the residential area have surely been picked clean. So I went to a large suburban mall, now buried under snow, based on memory. I cleared away the snow on the ground with my hand, then broke the skylight and slid down a rope. Seeing all the luxury goods in the mall, I couldn't help but feel sentimental. Before the apocalypse, it would take 2 months of salary without eating or drinking to afford just one item. Now, these luxury goods have become worthless debris. After storing some useful supplies in my alternate space, I went to the supermarket on the underground floor. Due to the extreme cold, the fruits inside have all frozen and spoiled. Some meat, though not rotten, had also frozen into zombie-like consistency. I picked out some still edible food and stuffed it into my bags. I wouldn't even want these items if they were given to me for free, but they'll suffice for dealing with the neighbors. Soon, I returned to the neighborhood with 2 large bags of supplies, and this scene was seen by a few members of the Heavenly United gang in the building next door. Seeing my snowmobile, Huang Tianfang's eyes immediately lit up. With such a vehicle, he could also easily go outside to find supplies in the future. The snowmobile's roar also attracted a crowd of neighbors, though greed was the prevalent emotion in their eyes. Uncle Yu, surprised, saw me carrying 2 large bags of supplies and said, "Little Zhang, you actually found this much in one go?" I sighed. With the snowstorm going on for so long, the local supermarkets have been emptied. Otherwise, I would have brought back even more. Despite the supplies being spoiled by the cold, it was enough to make all the neighbors drool. Seeing their eyes filled with eager anticipation, I immediately took out my handgun and warned, I went through hell and high water to find these. I hope you appreciate that." Hearing this, Uncle Yu caught on and shouted, "Zhang Yi has brought us hope for survival. Shouldn't we thank him?" After that, he led the crowd in chanting, "Long live Zhang Yi." Seeing everyone chanting my name, I knew it was time for me to make a statement. I had Joe Keir pour out all the supplies I had found, and then I looked at everyone and said sternly, "Since you've all chosen to follow me, I won't let you down. But this is the most dangerous moment, and I, Zhang Yi, will not keep idlers. If you eat these supplies, you must pick up arms against the Heavenly United Gang." Just then, members of the Heavenly United Gang arrived at our building armed and shouted, "Hand over the food, or don't blame us for being rude." Seeing this, I knew the opportunity to test these neighbors had arrived. I pointed at the Heavenly United Gang members outside and said coldly, "Anyone who can take down one of them will be rewarded with 5 people's worth of food." Hearing this, the neighbors hesitated for a moment. But seeing only 10 members of the Heavenly United Gang outside, and considering they were a group of several dozen, they felt emboldened. So the neighbors, as if injected with chicken blood, armed themselves with pots and pans and charged. Seeing this, the Heavenly United Gang members were stunned. These usually cowardly people, how come they are so brave today? Soon, both groups were fighting fiercely in the snow. For the sake of food, everyone was seeing red. And even if they were injured multiple times, they felt no pain. This was exactly what I wanted to see. I'm no saint, but if these neighbors are willing to fight for their lives, I certainly won't hesitate to provide them food. At this point, Uncle Yu shouted, "Everyone, let's go! They are not in the majority and can't hold on for long." With the addition of Uncle Yu, a retired soldier, the battle quickly turned one-sided. Seeing they were no match, the remaining Heavenly United Gang members fled towards their building without looking back. Witnessing this, all the neighbors picked up their weapons and cheered. This was their first victory fought for their own survival. Joe Keir sighed at the sight of it all. Though we won, many people were severely injured, and without professional equipment and medication, they likely won't survive for long. Moments later, I gathered all the neighbors in the building's lobby. "You all did very well. As you've seen, this is the power of unity. As long as we work together, even the apocalypse may not be insurmountable." I then turned to the 2 young individuals who performed the best in the battle. "You both did extremely well. Keep up this momentum moving forward." I then handed them 2 portions of food. Seeing this, they were so moved that they burst into tears, finally able to eat a full meal in this apocalyptic world. The rest of the neighbors were filled with regret, wishing they had given it their all. This was exactly the kind of attitude I wanted to see, so that everyone would fight against external enemies without holding back. I then gestured broadly, calling the remaining people one by one to receive today's food. The neighbors who received less food were filled with regret, wishing they had contributed more earlier. Soon it was the turn of Shu Hao, a wealthy second-generation individual, to collect his food. I tossed him a small piece of candy. "This is your food for today." Seeing that others had at least a piece of biscuit, and he only had a candy, he immediately roared, "This is not fair! Why do I get so little food?" I responded coldly, "You have the audacity to complain?" Others were fighting on the front lines, and you were merely shouting slogans from the back. Giving you a candy is already being extraordinarily generous. I hope you appreciate what you have. Hearing this, the neighbors who received less food felt a lot better. At least they weren't at the bottom. Who would have thought that Shu Hao would try to argue at this point, saying, "There were so many people fighting, I couldn't even find a way to get in." I just laughed. I only care about results, not the process. If you couldn't find a way in, that's on you. Hearing this, Shu Hao became furious. "This is unfair, unfair. You're clearly targeting me." As soon as his words fell, I gestured for 2 neighbors to restrain him. "Who do you think you are to talk about fairness with me?" The woman next door in her 40s managed to get in and throw a few punches. And here you are, a man in your 30s telling me you couldn't find a way in? After saying this, I pointed a gun directly at Shu Hao, asking everyone, what should we do with someone so undisciplined and disobedient? Hearing this, the 2 neighbors holding Shu Hao gave him a solid beating. I then turned to all the neighbors and yelled, "If anyone thinks I'm being overbearing, feel free to go find your own food. I, Zhang Yi, will not bother you." Seeing no objections, I clapped my hands. "Very good. I hope everyone will follow the arrangements from now on. But Shu Hao, accustomed to being arrogant and domineering, was still not convinced. Zhang Yi, don't push people too far. His words had barely left his mouth when I stepped on his right hand. Shu Hao, face the reality. We're in a post-apocalyptic world now. You can't go back to your cushy life. I, Zhang Yi, won't support a waste like you who's only good for eating. I hope everyone takes this as a warning. I then asked Zhou Kier to collect the remaining food to be distributed later. But just then, a voice sounded from behind the crowd. Brother Zhang Yi, I haven't received any food yet. Fang Yuqing and her best friend pushed their way through the crowd. Brother Zhang Yi treats me the best. You definitely didn't forget about Fang Yuqing, right? Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Of course, I haven't forgotten about you two, because there was never any food allocated for you two in the first place. Upon hearing this, Fang Yuqing burst into tears. Brother Zhang Yi, aren't you most fond of me? But I pushed her away with one hand. I was just speaking casually. You didn't take it seriously, did you? Besides, I already have a girlfriend now. You don't think you're better than my Zhou Kier, do you? Please stop bothering me from now on. Zhou Kier naturally came over and acted affectionately with me. Seeing this, Fang Yuqing cried even harder. This can't be. You've been fawning over me for years. How can you go back on your word like this? At that, I just laughed. Before the apocalypse, you thought your looks could bait a whole Pacific Ocean of fish. But now we're in the post-apocalyptic world. How many packs of instant noodles do you think your face is worth? At this point, Shu Hao, who was lying on the ground, chimed in. This stinking woman wanted to reel me in before the apocalypse. Good thing I'm a smart, rich second generation. Hearing this, the surrounding neighbors started gossiping. Who would have thought this seemingly innocent white lotus was actually a siren of the Pacific? Seeing the situation, Fang Yuqing tried to silence everyone, but no one paid any attention to her. Left with no choice, she yelled and ran away. I then rewarded the sensible Shu Hao with another candy. After that, I began to arrange the building's defense. Excluding the children who had no fighting capacity, we still had 47 people in Building 25. So I decided that aside from me, Zhou Kier, and the couple Uncle Yu, the others would be divided into 6 small groups, each with 7 to 8 people, on 25-hour shifts to guard against attacks from other buildings. If anything happens, everyone will hit the stair railing or other metal objects to alert everyone. The same incentives for killing enemies still apply. Whoever kills an outsider gets enough food for 5 people. Of course, those who want to slack off during their shifts will only get leftover food. After saying this, I patted Uncle Yu on the shoulder. As a military veteran, you're the most suitable person to arrange all of this. 2 days passed in a flash, and the Heavenly United Gang didn't seem to be in a hurry to attack. Zhou Kier looked worried about the 2 days of peace. Strange occurrences always mean trouble. Meanwhile, I was on my tablet learning about various ways to use firearms. The heavy snow had trapped the city, and the lower buildings were already covered in snow. At this rate, even if the heavy snow stops, it would take 2.5 months for the snow to melt. And in this post-apocalyptic world, human hearts are always more frightening than natural disasters. I then took out the firearms I'd obtained from the armory, through the pocket dimension. Human hearts may be frightening, but as long as I have enough firepower, I'm not afraid of any number of enemies. And it even has an 8-power scope for observing the situation in the community. Then I took the sniper rifle to the balcony, ready to practice my rusty shooting skills. But at that moment, 2 figures appeared in my 8-power scope. Seeing this, a cold smile appeared on my lips. The Heavenly United Gang's bastards finally couldn't help themselves. However, seeing that they were heading towards the community garage, I immediately realized they are probably going for my snowmobile. Unfortunately for them, their efforts are destined to be futile. During the day, I pretended to leave the snowmobile in the garage, but actually, I'd already stored it in the pocket dimension. Just then, Uncle Yu called me to say that the personnel for the defense had been properly arranged, and told me not to take to heart what Jie Li Mei had said during the day. She's just a bit talkative. At this, I chuckled. I won't hold grudges against a woman over such things. But Uncle Yu, are you sure you want to raise a child for someone else? I really don't like Jie Li Mei, but I don't want to ruin my relationship with you either. Uncle Yu just laughed heartily. In these times, finding a woman is already a good thing. You can't ask for too much. Hearing that, I teased. Uncle Yu, you're a strong and healthy man. You've got plenty of women who would like you. You should make an effort so that Zi Li Mei has a child for you too. I wouldn't want you to waste all your effort only to have someone else benefit from it." At these words, Uncle Yu looked awkward. He was well aware that men usually care about their own bloodline. But that's something to think about in the future. After all, it's the end of the world and we can hardly get enough to eat, let alone have time to have children. As for other people's family matters, it's not my place to comment, especially when I've got my own problems to deal with. On the other side, a group from the Heavenly United gang stealthily entered the first-floor lobby under the cover of darkness. This time it was led by Huang Tianfang's nephew, Huang Wei, and he brought along 8 people. Just as they arrived at the stair, a brick flew right towards him. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and dodged it, but then he heard a series of knocking sounds echoing through the stairwell. "Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Those bastards from Heavenly United Gang are here again." Hearing this, Huang Wei was instantly enraged. "Brothers, charge with me! Let's finish off these cowards!" So saying, he took the lead and rushed towards the stairwell. Little did he know that under my reward policy, the neighbors on duty were as motivated as if they'd been injected with adrenaline. Within moments, they'd taken down several people from the Heavenly United Gang. Seeing how fierce these neighbors were, Huang Wei immediately yelled for the remaining people to retreat. Watching the Heavenly United Gang members fleeing in disarray, the neighbors didn't plan on pursuing them. The snowstorm outside was too severe, and it would be dangerous if they were ambushed. The knocking sounds in the stairwell also woke me up from my sleep. These guys really know how to pick their timing. Just then, a thought suddenly sprang to my mind. Finally, I have a chance to practice my shooting skills. The saying goes, outside 100 steps, the gun is fast. Within 100 steps, the gun is both accurate and fast. I immediately took my beloved sniper rifle out from my pocket dimension. Today, none of you are getting away. I quickly set up the sniper rifle and aimed at one of the fleeing goons. With the help of the 8x scope, I could even see the hairs in the man's nostrils clearly. As my index finger pulled the trigger, a deafening gunshot shattered the silent night, and the bullet hit the escaping thug squarely. Seeing this, I felt very pleased with myself. Am I really a natural-born marksman? The remaining people from Heavenly United Gang looked horrified as they saw their companion fall in a pool of blood. Holy shit, someone's shooting! Seeing this, they didn't hesitate and started running like their lives depended on it, back towards their own compound. Watching this scene, I couldn't help but smile. Then I set up the sniper rifle again. Just then, a strange sensation filled me, and it felt like the enemy in the scope was moving at a speed 1,000 times slower. As I pulled the trigger again, the fleeing goon got a headshot and went down. Realizing this, it dawned on me. It seems my awakened abilities are not limited to the pocket dimension. Maybe I also have a marksman's talent. To verify this speculation, I fired 5 consecutive shots. Without exception, each goon got a headshot and was killed. Seeing this, a smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. With this marksman's talent, all I need in the future is to find an appropriate sniping point, and that will be enough to deal with these intruders. My extraordinary marksmanship also startled everyone in the building, causing the neighbors to abandon any petty ideas they might have had about me. Their respect and awe for me shot through the roof at that moment. The next morning, Jo Kier made me a bowl of noodles. Then, with a nervous face, she asked, "Was it you who fired the gun last night?" Hearing her question, I smiled. That reckless Heavenly United Gang tried another sneak attack, so I had to send them to heaven. Upon hearing this, Jo Kier looked at me with eyes full of admiration. "Zhang Yi, you're amazing." Originally, Jo Kier chose to live under my protection just for survival, but now she was completely captivated by my charm. Outwardly, I kept a calm face, but inside I was thrilled. How did I go from being a simp in my past life to becoming a godlike figure in the eyes of beautiful women? It's a complete reversal. Meanwhile, on the other side, members of the Heavenly United Gang looked at the bodies in the snow and fell silent. Their repeated attempts to raid us had yielded nothing, not even a scrap of food. Instead, they'd lost their men, including Huang Tianfang's nephew. Initially, they could use their brute force to bully people, but now they realized I had such a powerful weapon at my disposal. What could they even play against me? Moreover, given their current situation, they would soon starve if they couldn't get any food. Thinking this, Huang Tianfang hardened his heart, ordering his men to bring back the bodies of Huang Wei and the others. This way they could prolong their survival for a little longer. On the other side, I was patrolling the building and checking on the neighbors on duty, as usual. After last night's events, everyone's attitude towards me had turned into genuine awe. They were very clear that under my leadership, they could survive longer in this post-apocalyptic world. Then I rode my beloved snowmobile and left the community again. Not long ago, Uncle Yu had provided me with the location of a nearby army camp. After asking him to take good care of the people in the base, I headed towards the army camp's location. This scene was witnessed by the Wolfgang from Building 21. What puzzled them was where I had hidden the snowmobile, because earlier they had turned the entire underground garage upside down but found nothing. If they had a snowmobile, they could freely go on shopping sprees in various malls. With more supplies, they could expand their territory and recruit more people, becoming local warlords in this apocalyptic world. On the side, Xiao Lu nodded in agreement. In troubled times, heroes emerge. Now is the perfect time for us brothers to take the throne. Thinking of this, Wang Qiang's eyes were bloodshot. We must get our hands on that snowmobile. On the other hand, I rode my snowmobile, galloping through the snow. Before going to the army camp, I decided to first scavenge the materials around the city. Heavy snow had been falling for 3 months now, and some small shops were already buried. To get supplies, I could only look for a few independent large supermarkets in the city. Then I remembered the Walmart South warehouse where I used to work. Though the largest warehouse had been emptied by me before the apocalypse, there were still several smaller ones nearby, which were sure to have useful supplies. Soon, I drove to Walmart's South warehouse. Products from hundreds of groups throughout Heavenly Sea City were concentrated here. If I took all the supplies back, it would be enough to sustain thousands of people. However, when I broke the skylight, I discovered that most of the supplies had already been moved before the snow disaster. Still, I went down through the skylight to see if there was anything left. Quickly, I found several heavy-duty trucks and a bunch of luxury sports cars inside. Although they seemed useless now, who knows if they might come in handy for showing off later. Then, I went on to scavenge some useful supplies from a few other warehouses. Afterward, I drove to the gas station. I definitely need to use the snowmobile as my daily means of transportation, so I may not have enough fuel in the future. To my surprise, the gas station was so covered in snow that only a signpost remained visible. This is problematic. If only I had an excavator right now. Thinking this, I suddenly stood up from the snow. Didn't I put a few excavators into my alternate space earlier? Immediately, I took out an excavator from my alternate space. The snow had not yet formed a hard ice layer, so digging out the gas station would be easy. Fortunately, I had experience driving forklifts in the warehouse before, so operating this wouldn't be an issue. Then I started digging towards the gas station with the excavator. After digging for 2 hours, a clear metallic clang came from the shovel, and the gas station's large roof platform gradually began to appear. Next, I went inside the gas station to find the fuel storage. Generally, fuel storage for gas stations is underground. I then found the basement door and pried it open with a crowbar. However, before entering, I quickly removed any static electricity from my body to prevent accidents. Soon, several large fuel tanks appeared before my eyes. With these fuel reserves, I can gallop through the snow again in the future. I then dismantled the hose on top of the fuel tanks and used plastic wrap to seal the opening of the tanks to prevent gasoline leakage. Just as I was about to put the entire fuel tank into my alternate space, I suddenly realized something very important. Under these meters-thick layers of snow, almost everyone was practically immobile. But not me. In addition to freely traversing the snowy landscape, I also had several excavators with me. That is to say, all the resources buried under the heavy snow were now essentially at my disposal. After storing the gas station's fuel into my alternate space, it was already 8 o'clock in the evening. So, I decided to rest here for the night and visit the army camp that Uncle Yu had mentioned during the day. Meanwhile, back in the residential area, a neighbor's child had a high fever reaching 40 degrees Celsius. At this, Joe Keir looked helpless because her medicine box no longer had any emergency medications. Just then, Uncle Yu came over with a box of children's fever medicine. This is the fever medicine that Zhang Yi provided before. There's a little left. Let's use it for the child." He then patted the shoulder of the neighbor. "Don't worry. When Zhang Yi comes back this time, I'm sure life will get better for everyone." With Uncle Yu's fever medicine, the child's high fever finally subsided. However, Zhou Qier reminded the mother to pay close attention to her baby's condition, as infants are highly susceptible to illness in this extreme cold weather. After giving her advice, Zhou Qier and Uncle Yu began their routine patrol. They had barely taken a few steps when a woman's scream came from behind them. Auntie Lin from the neighborhood committee was seen lunging at the child in the mother's arms with a small knife, shouting, "My grandson is dead. Your children shouldn't be allowed to live either." Out of maternal instinct, the mother immediately turned to block the knife. Seeing this, Zhou Qier quickly caught the baby, who slipped from the mother's arms, and the mother, entrusting her child to Zhou Qier, collapsed in a pool of blood. At this moment, Auntie Lin pointed at Zhou Qier and yelled, "It's all you heartless people who killed my little Hu! None of you will get away!" Seeing Auntie Lin, who was now entirely unhinged, Zhou Qier knew that talking wouldn't help. She immediately ran towards the stairwell while holding the child, but was caught by Auntie Lin, who grabbed her ankle. Auntie Lin ranted with her knife in hand, "Especially you, Dr. Zhou. You deserve to die for not saving little Hu." Just as she was about to stab Zhou Qier, Uncle Yu appeared in the nick of time and kicked Auntie Lin to the ground. He was cut by the knife on his left hand, but seeing that Zhou Qier was unharmed, he felt relieved. If anything had happened to Zhou Qier, he wouldn't have the face to explain it to me. By this time, Auntie Lin had completely lost her sanity, biting anyone she could get her hands on. "You Jiguang, you coward! It's your fault for not killing Chen Zhenghao. You owe little Hu a life too," she yelled. She then turned to the neighbors who were watching. "All of you deserve to die, and that Zhang Yi deserves to die too for not sending medicine to my little Hu." Hearing this, Uncle Yu instantly became furious. If it weren't for Zhang Yi taking out Chen Zhenghao, none of us might have survived until now. It's not your turn, you mad dog, to be biting people here. At this point, Zhou Qier stepped forward and said, "Zhang Yi did send medicine for you, but by the time I delivered it, it was already too late. Your precious grandson had already been turned into a pot of rice porridge by you." Upon hearing these words, Auntie Lin fell into another frenzy, shouting, "It's impossible! It's impossible!" Two neighbors stepped forward to mock her. "Today we finally see what loving someone too much to even put them in your mouth really means. You always claim to adore your precious grandson, yet this is the extent of your love? You, who have committed countless evils, let us send you on your way." With that, one of the neighbors ignited a lighter, letting Auntie Lin feel some warmth before her death. Meanwhile, on the other side, I yawned as I walked out of the tent. It was time to head to the army camp. Following the guidance of the retired soldier, Uncle Yu, I rode my snowmobile to the nearby military camp. I then took out an excavator from my pocket dimension. With the experience from digging out the gas station last time, I got to work smoothly. Soon enough, I had uncovered the entrance to the camp's dormitories. What puzzled me was that the camp was completely empty. Given how sudden the snow disaster was, and considering the remote location of the camp, as well as the lack of transportation, the military should not have been able to evacuate in time. But at that moment, a terrifying thought crossed my mind. Could it be that the military had prior knowledge of the coming snow disaster and had thus evacuated their troops and resources in advance? The thought sent shivers down my spine. If that was truly the case, whoever possessed these large amounts of supplies and weapons post-disaster would be able to establish a new order in this apocalyptic world. I could foresee the setting turning into a battleground for various armed factions vying for control. I must arm myself in advance to prepare for this new era. With that thought, I continued to operate the excavator, digging fervently. Accompanied by a booming noise, I made a large hole in the wall of the weapons arsenal. But the next second, I was stunned. Inside was a dazzling array of military supplies. Aside from tons of various types of firearms and bullets, there were several large boxes of hand grenades. I came in expecting to find some scraps, but ended up with a massive haul. However, tanks and some heavy armored vehicles were not there. Could it be that the military had simply gone out on a mission and took only a portion of the weapons? I didn't dwell on it. What I had gathered was more than enough for now. If I needed to replenish my firepower later on, I could just go to another military camp to scavenge. After storing all the military supplies in my pocket dimension, I rode my snowmobile back home. However, the neighbors noticed that I returned empty-handed and immediately started to accuse me. Jiang Yi, you've been out for 2 days and you couldn't find any food? Did you hoard it all for yourself? Hearing this, I laughed. Am I giving you guys too much face? Just 2 days apart and you all have grown arrogant. Don't forget who saved you ungrateful folks in the first place. Since you like to take advantage of kindness, from now on, we're on our own. You can find your own food. Seeing this, a neighbor hurriedly stepped forward to mediate. Brother Jiang, don't take it to heart. That's not what everyone means. It is really hard to find food out there in the snow. You should go back and rest.